realizing how tender-hearted their young master truly was, so deeply in love. Of course, part of this was due to the numbing effects of alcohol, preventing them from contemplating further. What mattered was that some of his words had been overheard by Luo Qingyu outside the door, rippling through her beautiful eyes. Even Ning Qianqian was irked enough to want to pinch her senior sister, filled with resentment. Qinlang, such a romantic, should belong to her. Chapter 320. Taking the initiative to dismiss Luo Qingyu once the room was filled only with meaningless boasting, Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian decided to leave. The remaining individuals were loyal subordinates of Qinlang, and there was no need to endure their shameless peculiarities any longer. Upon reaching the booth in the hall, they ordered 2 cocktails. Ning Qianqian took a sip, her bright eyes darting around before she abruptly spoke. Senior sister, I am serious this time. Why don't you return to Longhua? If you continue to stay here, you will undoubtedly be targeted by Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu. With your status, squabbling with them would be a disgrace. You need not worry about the second sister. Let me stay behind. Even if I cannot defeat her, I have ways to prevent her from targeting our Qinlang. After all, her life was saved thanks to my intervention back then. Luo Qingyu took a sip of the cocktail, furrowing her brows as she detected an odd flavor that did not appeal to her. With a hint of suspicion, she inquired, "What about you? Staying here means you won't be targeted, right?" Ning Qianqian chuckled. "What do I have to fear for being targeted? Just those 2 women, Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu. Do you believe that as long as I remain here, Qinlang will seek me out every night to play with me? I could easily invite them over daily. Do you believe that?" Luo Qingyu rolled her eyes, concluding that her presence hindered her little junior sister. Once she departed, her junior sister would be utterly unrestrained. Sighing, Ning Qianqian thought it futile to express her concerns, especially since Luo Qingyu would not leave even if urged. "Tell me, why does Qinlang come to Kolan, recruiting the Darkblade and local armed forces? What does he need such manpower for?" Luo Qingyu shook her head, equally perplexed. After a moment's contemplation, a spark of insight flickered in her mind. She opened her mouth to voice her thoughts, but refrained. Could it be that Qinlang intended to confront the entire secret realm for her sake? That sinister aura had nearly claimed her life. He was aware of its potency. Did he truly wish to confront such formidable power merely to avenge her? Why such childishness? While Luo Qingyu internally chuckled at her own predicament, an inexplicable feeling of comfort and joy surged from deep within her. The mouth may complain, but the body knows. It wasn't until late at night that Qinlang returned to the headquarters of the Darkblade, emanating a fierce aura that commanded respect. Those who encountered him dared not breathe loudly, nor did they dare to inform Mu Yiyin and Lin Yuchu's little followers. In her room, gazing silently at the moonlight, Luo Qingyu sensed Qinlang's presence. After a moment of hesitation, she followed his aura and knocked on the office door. "Why are you knocking at this hour? If you're free, just leave me alone." Qinlang's voice boomed from within the office. Luo Qingyu chuckled softly. "It's me." Moments later, the door swung open, revealing Qinlang, who wore an awkward smile. "Apologies, I encountered some issues and was quite irate." Luo Qingyu glanced at him and smiled gently. "Are you blocking the door, intending not to let me in?" "Not at all. Please come in." Qinlang stepped aside, graciously preparing tea for her with meticulous attention to the ancient art of tea-making. "This should be my task," Luo Qingyu remarked, maintaining a soft smile. She had not anticipated that a scion of the Qin family from Yanjing would possess such mastery of these traditional customs. "Such trivial matters are beneath mention," Qinlang replied. Moving closer to her, reaching out as if to touch her hair, Luo Qingyu did not flinch, merely glancing up with curiosity. "What is the matter? There's something on you. Let me help you remove it." Qinlang stepped forward, one hand gently tracing the contours of Luo Qingyu's temple, as if intending to pluck something away. Yet, upon making contact, his hand descended, encircling her neck. With a sudden force, he pressed her forward, leaning in eagerly to bestow a fervent kiss. 1 second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds. Reluctantly, Qinlang withdrew, lingering on Luo Qingyu's rosy lips, settling back into a chair with a bittersweet shake of his head. To have tasted her sweetness was, after all, a fulfillment of a long-held desire. "Qingyu, there are matters I cannot conceal from you. Whether it is Yu Yin or Yu Chu, my relationship with them is precisely as you might imagine. Not only them, but there are also other women in my life. If this distresses you, then feel free to depart." Qinlang's demeanor was not one of contrition. Instead, he openly acknowledged the existence of other women, as if laying his cards on the table, declaring himself a notorious philanderer. "Go on, distance yourself. I will find a way to resolve the engagement between the Qin and Luo families, ensuring that it brings no adverse repercussions upon you. This you need not worry about. With a sigh, Qin Lang prepared to rise. Luo Qingyu, still reeling from the unprecedented experience of being kissed with her eyes wide open, felt the sweetness linger before she absorbed his resolute words. Her heart tightened involuntarily as she exclaimed, "I am here to address the crisis of the hidden kill. What does that have to do with you Yin and you Chu?" "Life is not easy," Qin Lang sighed. "Though I lack certainty of emerging unscathed from the hidden kill, preserving my own safety poses little issue. You need not wade through this murky water either. If the intelligence from the Qin family holds true, the master of the hidden kill should have a considerable connection to you, right? Including the leader of the assassin ranking, Reincarnation, who is also closely linked to you, correct?" Indeed, Luo Qingyu did not deny it. Instead, she asserted, "The master of the hidden kill is my second junior sister, and Reincarnation is my fourth junior sister. However, some matters cannot be resolved with mere words. My intervention is necessary. I do not wish for my second junior sister to come to harm," she continued, almost as if to make amends. "Nor do I want you to suffer unjustly. Do I hold such significance in your heart? Am I merely a shackle of engagement? Perhaps in your eyes, I'm more a source of gratitude, a reminder of the immense cost I bore to save you, leaving you feeling indebted to me." Qin Lang stood gazing out the office window, lifting his eyes to the ever-constant moon, his expression wistful and profound. "From the beginning, what I desired was never your gratitude or recompense. Do you understand?" Chapter 321. The daughter of fate is engaged in battle. Qin Lang turned his head, his countenance grave, fixating intently on the beauty of Luo Qingyu's eyes, falling into a heavy silence. All words were laid bare in the weight of his expression. Luo Qingyu opened her mouth, wanting to explain, but no words emerged. Indeed, how had she been perceiving Qin Lang all this time? Bound by the constraints of an engagement, or perhaps merely a person filled with gratitude? It seems that from the very beginning until now, she has never directly acknowledged Qin Lang's feelings. Luo Qingyu softly expressed, "I am not the person you envision. I do not dwell on gains and losses. Even if we become mere strangers in the future, we will always cherish the beautiful memories we once shared. Please go ahead and leave Kalan. I will take care of everything. I shall not leave you with any regrets." Qin Lang waved his hand, his expression pained. Luo Qingyu stood frozen, her gaze slightly vacant, her brow furrowed. And for some inexplicable reason, she felt a dull ache in her heart. She numbly took a step forward and wandered out of Qin Lang's office. A full moon hung in the sky. Qin Lang did not turn a glance at Luo Qingyu's retreating figure. Instead, he fixated on the luminous orb, a sense of anxiety stirring within him. He pondered the uncertain direction in which events might unfold. Had it not been for Junzi's prior warning about the eavesdropping incident, and the unforgettable 10 seconds of a sweet kiss, he would never have dared to utter such resolute words to Luo Qingyu. After all, given her temperament, it was entirely possible that she would walk away and never return. Yet now, armed with a secret, Qin Lang felt compelled to take a risk. Such a fortuitous opportunity could not pass without tearing away Luo Qingyu's veneer of detachment. To allow her to remain by his side solely as a benefactor would ultimately lead to a lingering sense of regret. Many things cannot be accomplished under the guise of a benefactor. For instance, the substantial opportunities to accrue villain points, like the significant sum Luo Qingyu could provide, could not be attained through mere gratitude. As for being bound by the engagement, that would require a long wait. Perhaps until the day he truly steps into the sanctity of marriage. Only this time, with the convergence of favorable circumstances, he dared to make such a bold attempt. Gulp. Qin Lang sat on the sofa, taking a large sip of tea to calm his tumultuous emotions. He wondered what thoughts occupied Luo Qingyu in her bedroom at that very moment. He also pondered how many villain points she could genuinely offer. After all, even the blood-red mandrake had provided a staggering 100,000 villain points. Compared to Luo Qingyu's strength, she was nearly 5 times more powerful than the blood-red mandrake before it consumed the body-enhancing potion. While Qin Lang remained deep in thought, Junzi burst into the room, panic etched on his face. "Young master, it's bad. Miss Ning Qianqian is fighting with Miss Shui outside. Yet another day without peace." Qin Lang rolled his eyes, rising from his seat to follow Junzi out of the office, departing the bar. At least these two women possessed some sense. They understood that the Dark Blade stronghold was Qin Lang's domain and refrained from fighting inside the bar, opting instead to take their clash outside. Upon the arrival of Qin Lang, The blood-colored mandala shot an irate glare towards Junzi, causing him to shrink back in terror, increasingly feeling that his head no longer belonged to him. He dared not meet the piercing gaze of the blood-colored mandala, instead silently retreating behind Qin Lang like a mere shadow. Are you planning to eliminate the informant Junzi? Qin Lang furrowed his brow and coldly reprimanded the blood-colored mandala. She opened her mouth to respond, asserting that the matter was not his concern and that she would not act recklessly against his people. Though she contemplated confronting Qin Lang, a deep-seated fear restrained her. While she might challenge him over trivial matters, when it came to significant issues, she would never dare defy his will. To do so would only cast her back into the lonely realm of a solitary assassin. Causing trouble upon arriving at Kalan, Qin Lang no longer sought to pacify the blood-colored mandala, but instead turned his attention to Ning Qianqian, who was adorned in a flowing blue dress, his tone icy. What do you mean by causing trouble? She bullies my fourth senior sister, yet has the audacity to boast that she can defeat me in 10 moves. Ning Qianqian, known as the Little Medical Immortal, have never endured such humiliation. If I do not teach her a lesson, will she not think she can trample over me in the future? Ning Qianqian huffed lightly. This matter does not concern you, Qin Lang. I will spare her. What arrogance! The blood-colored mandala felt a chill run through her, as even the reincarnation dared not speak so boldly in her presence. Yet this mere junior sister had the audacity to declare she would not kill her. The dignity of an assassin must not be tarnished. As soon as the words left her lips, the blood-colored mandala transformed into a fleeting shadow, vanishing from sight like a cherry blossom ninja melding into darkness, leaving only a series of afterimages behind. Unlike the cherry blossom ninja who relied on ninjutsu, the blood-colored mandala depended solely on her extraordinary speed, leaving spectators awestruck. Clang! A dagger met a short blade, producing the sound of clashing metal. Ning Qianqian grimaced, feeling pain shoot through her wrist. With a swift motion, she retreated, narrowly evading the attack. How could this happen? The blood-colored mandala furrowed her brow as she once again melded into the shadows. She was in peak condition, even stronger than when she faced reincarnation, and even if reincarnation were present, they would struggle to counter her precise assault. Could it be that this junior sister's strength surpassed that of reincarnation? The blood-colored mandala felt perplexed, refusing to underestimate her as she unleashed a flurry of attacks against Ning Qianqian. Unlike the broad and forceful strikes of typical martial artists, the blood-colored mandala, as a professional assassin, had internalized a killer's instincts. Her approach was one of lethal precision, aiming directly for vital points with swiftness and ruthlessness. Amidst the dimly lit street, Ning Qianqian's blue figure stood out conspicuously, while shadows darted from all directions, launching sudden assaults towards her. The angles were cunning and the speed was blinding, leaving one utterly dazzled. If it were Junzi facing such a trap, the head upon his shoulders would have been taken home as a chamber pot long ago. Yet surprisingly, Ning Qianqian remained unperturbed, each assassination attempt met with her precise counter and timely retreat, denying the blood-colored mandala any chance to regain momentum. Young master, in your eyes, who is stronger, Miss Blood or Miss Ning? Junzi inquired, his curiosity piqued. Qin Lang furrowed his brow. I am well aware of the weight of the top assassin. As for Ning Qianqian, I have yet to ascertain whether she genuinely possesses such strength or is merely a fade. Chapter 322. The most poisonous woman's heart, Junzi nodded, somewhat confused, sensing the oddity in the young master's words, as if something were amiss. However, lacking evidence, he dared not voice his thoughts. The blood-colored mandala? The leader of the assassin rankings? I see you are not as formidable as you claim. If my fourth senior sister were not burdened by her ailment, would you dare to bully her? Dream on. If my fourth senior sister were at her peak, she could handle you with a mere flick of her hand. Ning Qianqian coldly derided while standing on the dimly lit street, though internally she was already astounded. What is this? Was it said that my fourth senior sister was suppressed by despicable means? Why, upon engaging, do I sense that the blood-colored mandala's prowess rivals my second senior sister's before she adopts a self-destructive approach? In just a few exchanges, the mere clashing of arms left her hands trembling as if her bones might shatter. If this continues, before she could even unleash her strength, the blood-colored mandala would have her pinned to the ground, ruthlessly battered. Let us see whether your words are more resilient or your neck more steadfast. The blood-colored mandala, already prone to anger, was further agitated under the watchful gaze of Qin Lang. All her strength had surged forth with Qin Lang's assistance, leading to her rapid advancement. If she could not even defeat Ning Qianqian, how could she ever establish herself before Qin Lang? If she could not best Ning Qianqian, what right did she have to maintain her position as the foremost expert by Qin Lang's side? Swish, swish, swish. The blood-colored mandala's assaults grew increasingly ferocious and swift. Gradually, her figure became less concealed, shifting towards direct confrontation. Ning Qianqian, battered and retreating, evaded attack after attack, yet her teeth remained clenched, refusing to utter a word of defeat. You wish to see how resilient my neck is? Come on, prove it. Overreaching, the blood-colored mandala scoffed, wielding dual blades, her shadow flickering like a specter. The cold light reflecting off the moonlight, dazzlingly sharp. Observing from the sidelines, Junzi felt a chill run down his neck, fear gripping him as he glanced at Qin Lang. Young master, must you not intervene? This has escalated. Miss Blood seems genuinely enraged and has threatened to sever Miss Ning's neck. Qin Lang turned, coldly huffing, what neck? Junzi found himself at a loss for words, burdened with a multitude of grievances yet devoid of a platform to express them. His gaze shifted once more towards the fierce duel between Ning Qianqian and the blood-red mandala. With the young master observing nearby, he felt reassured that matters would not escalate too severely. Gradually, the spectators, including Junzi, were astonished to witness a transformation in Ning Qianqian. She, who had initially fought defensively, seemed to grow in strength, no longer retreating but engaging the blood-red mandala head-on. Both combatants exhibited equal swiftness and ferocity. The blood-red mandala's dagger cut into Ning Qianqian's arm, while she retaliated with a palm strike to the mandala's chest. The latter thwarted by a natural defensive barrier, yet she managed to slice through the mandala's shoulder with her short blade. Ning Qianqian no longer evaded. Instead, she launched a counter-offensive, wielding her dagger with grace. Her flowing dress reminiscent of a celestial being descending to earth as she unleashed a flurry of attacks against the blood-red mandala. Has Miss Ning truly grown stronger? Junzi gasped in astonishment. Qin Lang furrowed his brow and shook his head. No, it is the mandala that has weakened. From Junzi's perspective, the subtleties were not easily discernible, yet Qin Lang, whose physical prowess had already reached a remarkable level, could perceive the diminishing speed of the blood-red mandala with ease. Nevertheless, this was not his primary concern. In his discomfort, he noted that both women were tentatively exchanging blows aimed at each other's hearts, seemingly hesitant to inflict serious harm. Qin Lang suspected that their intent was to shatter one another's resolve. The hearts of women can be the most ruthless, he thought. Enough was enough. With a cold snort, he swiftly stepped forward, grasping Ning Qianqian and the blood-red mandala by their wrists, reprimanding them. Isn't this chaos efficient? Do you intend to continue until one of you is incapacitated? I don't care. I simply wish to see how tough her resolve truly is. The blood-red mandala's eyes blazed with fury and defiance. If you want to continue, then let us see who prevails. I dare you to try to strip me of this black leather. She retorted, her tone laced with challenge. Ning Qianqian, emboldened, echoed the sentiment, refusing to back down in the face of the mandala's hostile gaze. Come and test your mettle. With that, Ning Qianqian raised her hand, aiming for the blood-red mandala's leather garb. But as she reached, Qin Lang's body became an obstacle. Frustrated, she redirected her assault towards the mandala's hair, seizing a handful with determination. Let go of me. The blood-red mandala seethed, her body trembling with rage. Initially, Ning Qianqian had no intention of resorting to such underhanded tactics. She was prepared to release her grip. However, upon hearing the mandala's words, her resolve stiffened. Not only did she refuse to relent, but she tightened her hold and proclaimed, "Do you think I would release you just because you asked? Am I that lacking in dignity? I demand you release me. Do you hear?" The blood-red mandala ground her teeth, retaliating by grasping a lock of Ning Qianqian's hair with her other hand, tugging fiercely. Qin Lang observed the two women, leaning their heads against his shoulders, one on each side, and a twitch of his lips betrayed his discomfort. They were renowned heroines, undoubtedly formidable warriors, yet now they had devolved into a scene reminiscent of brawling women, tugging at each other's hair. One eyesore. Release her at once, he commanded with a stern expression. Let her go first. Both women retorted in unison, neither willing to relent. Qin Lang, feeling cornered, found himself devoid of options. At this juncture, to prevent the situation from escalating further, he resolved to abandon any diplomatic measures. He relinquished his grip on both women and reached for their accompanying beasts. A sharp intake of breath echoed as both women simultaneously released their holds. No matter how much Ning Qianqian boasted, the truth remained. She was an inexperienced girl, unaccustomed to such confrontations. Startled, she retreated, crossing her arms in indignation. In contrast, blood-red Mandala, though blushing and rooted in place, did not withdraw, fixating intently on Qin Lang's hand, demanding, "Aren't you going to let go?" Chapter 323. A touched Qin Lang shameless. Ning Qianqian huffed in annoyance. Yet an unsettling feeling gnawed at her. Observing the posture of the two, it seemed their rapport was far more intimate than she had anticipated. In such a moment, how could blood-red Mandala fail to free herself from Qin Lang's grasp, instead insisting he let go? Was it a matter of lacking hands, or was it deliberate? After a moment of contemplation, Ning Qianqian gasped in realization. How careless. She should not have flinched earlier. All right, let us see how you both fare. You've truly incited my ire now. Are you attempting to obliterate each other's secondary sexual characteristics? Qin Lang rolled his eyes at blood-red Mandala and patted her chest lightly, relieved that all was well. Otherwise, the imbalance would have posed a dilemma for her. She was not faring much better either. Blood-red Mandala glared coldly at Ning Qianqian, who defiantly retorted, "I'm perfectly fine." After all, she was a legitimate little healer. Such minor injuries would hardly pose a threat to her. Dream on. You darted away too quickly. Shall I examine you? Qin Lang tentatively reached toward Ning Qianqian. "Bah, you brazen elf. Do you believe I won't tell the senior sister that you're bullying me?" Ning Qianqian crossed her arms and stepped forward. "How dare you act innocent after taking advantage of me? Hurry up. Produce the antidote." Qin Lang, growing impatient, urged her. With Ning Qianqian's limited abilities, how could she possibly compare to blood-red Mandala? It was sheer folly. Blood-red Mandala possessed a physical prowess exceeding 500, complemented by an array of assassination skills. There was no way she should have been evenly matched with Ning Qianqian. Unless Ning Qianqian had resorted to some underhanded tactics, how could they have fought to a standstill? Such a despicable and shameless maneuver. The blood-colored Mandala had long sensed an anomaly in her strength. Now, with Qin Lang's validation, she spat venom toward Ning Qianqian. Ning Qianqian huffed in displeasure, retorting, "How am I despicable and shameless? I am a practitioner of medicine. Historically, medicine and poison are intertwined. This is my skill, and I never stipulated that you cannot use poison. Moreover, your dagger is also coated in venom. If it weren't for Qin Lang's presence today, with the toxins now invading your vital organs, eliminating you would be child's play. If you have the capability, then try it. A futile cycle, endlessly repeating. Hurry up. What are you dawdling for? Produce the antidote." Qin Lang, exasperated, lightly tapped Ning Qianqian on the head. "Oof. You show favoritism." Though Ning Qianqian was reluctant, she understood that prolonging this would only result in the toxins fully spreading, and even with an antidote, hidden ailments would remain. Reluctantly, she retrieved a small white vial and handed it to Qin Lang. As he took the antidote, she inconspicuously brushed against his waist, a glint of cunning flashing in her eyes. "Your methods of poisoning are indeed remarkable, colorless and tasteless. Even I failed to detect it." Qin Lang opened the vial, sniffed it, and, finding no abnormalities, passed it to the blood-colored Mandala for her to consume. Ning Qianqian was startled, instinctively thinking her little trick had been discovered. But upon seeing Qin Lang's calm demeanor, she realized her misinterpretation. With a proud lift of her delicate chin, she huffed, "Naturally. Do you not know who I am? I am the little medical fairy. This soft bone powder is a product of my enhancements, utilizing 7 different poisons, colorless and tasteless, capable of dispersing through the air. Besides my specially formulated antidote, there is no other means of salvation." Intrigued, Qin Lang inquired, "And what if you had no antidote? Could you neutralize the poison?" Ning Qianqian was momentarily speechless, her earlier words rebounding against her like a slap. The contradiction was evident. She was the one who lost face. The crux of the matter was that without the antidote, she truly had no way to detoxify in a short time. "All right, I won't press you further. Just give me a pound or 2 of that soft bone powder," Qin Lang asserted, extending his hand to request it. Ning Qianqian's beautiful lips quivered as she retorted playfully, "What are you saying? Do you have any idea how troublesome it is to prepare this soft bone powder? I don't even have a pound of it on me. This amount can poison hundreds of people. A pound or 2. Do you think it's cabbage at the market? Are you insane? A couple of pounds of soft bone powder could incapacitate hundreds of elephants." Nevertheless, she wouldn't outright refuse. After all, she had already considered Qin Lang one of her own, and providing him with a means of self-defense was not a bad thing. Once again, she produced a small white vial from her bosom and handed it to Qin Lang. The contents within could incapacitate over 100 individuals. The dosage employed against the blood-colored mandragora had been less than 1/10 of this vial's capacity. Had it not been for the concern for her life, I would have increased the dosage slightly, preventing the earlier predicament. In the initial stages of their confrontation, the blood-colored mandragora had evidently held the upper hand. However, as the toxin spread, their strengths gradually leveled out. If the battle continued, it was certain that Ning Qianqian would emerge victorious. There is no doubt about that. This is the antidote. Before you resort to poison, make sure to take the antidote yourself. You wouldn't want to end up in a state of unconsciousness. Ning Qianqian thoughtfully offered Qin Lang several small black pills. All right, I understand. If there is nothing else, you may return now, Qin Lang urged, waving his hand dismissively. Ning Qianqian gritted her teeth, stamped her foot in frustration, shot a glare at Qin Lang, and huffed angrily as she walked away. So, after squeezing everything out of her, he simply dismissed her, didn't he? Men are indeed all the same. Just wait. The matter is far from resolved. Throughout her life, Ning Qianqian had never suffered a loss, and if she didn't show Qin Lang a taste of her prowess, she would not deserve the title of Little Healer. She was formidable, her skills in poison more elusive and mysterious than anyone she had encountered. The blood-colored mandragora observed Ning Qianqian's retreating figure and, for once, acknowledged her strength. Fixing her gaze on Qin Lang, she earnestly cautioned him, "You must be vigilant. This is not merely a matter of personal conflict. The poison she wields is colorless and tasteless, exceedingly difficult to detect. I didn't even realize it initially." Qin Lang felt a surge of emotion as he gazed at the once merciless female assassin, now transformed into a caring companion. A warm feeling surged within him. "Let us head back. Since you're so concerned about me, I ought to check on you as well," he said, stealing a glance at the blood-colored mandragora's chest to ensure everything was in order. Chapter 324. The Sisters' Conspiracy. Someone is still here. The blood-colored mandragora complained in a teasing tone. "Who?" Qin Lang turned to see a soldier lurking in the shadows of a dark alley and called out, "Is anyone there?" The soldier turned his head and shook it. "Young master, I've scoped it out for you. There's no one around, not a soul." With that, he hastily made his way back toward the bar. "Your bodyguard." The blood-colored mandragora began, but hesitated. Qin Lang wrapped his arm around her slender waist, playfully tilting her chin upward with a charming smile. "What about this bodyguard? He's just like you. What kind of young master brings out such a lackluster bodyguard, so unrefined? He wouldn't let slip a single word of any unfavorable news regarding you. Instead, he speaks to people as if they were ghosts. Last time, I saw him being stopped by Lin Yuchu, who insisted that he inform her the moment you returned." Intrigued, Qin Lang playfully pecked her lips, savoring the moment. "Is that so? I was unaware of this. But wait, since I returned, I haven't seen Lin Yuchu around." The bar boasts remarkable soundproofing, and the room occupied by Lin Yuchu and Mu Yuyin faces away from the street, leaving them oblivious to the commotion outside. A cold smile flitted across the face of the blood-colored mandala. After all, it was a matter of who had been commanded, your very own personal bodyguard. Just moments after assuring Lin Yuchu, she hastily convened old Huang and his group, instructing them to remain silent and await your orders. It remains a mystery how you wield such charm, captivating both men and women alike. Truth be told, the blood-colored mandala has been entrenched in the assassin profession for several years, encountering a plethora of power holders, far exceeding mere numbers. Even among the high-ranking elites, she has caught wind of unsavory rumors, some gleaned from the whispered grievances of those close to them. Yet, she has never been able to decipher Qin Lang. The enigma surrounding him eludes her comprehension. This is indeed a question worth pondering. Let us return and discuss it further. With an expression of righteous determination, Qin Lang insisted that she first share her perspective. Only then could he pinpoint the flaws in her reasoning, allowing them to address any shortcomings. The blood-colored mandala opened her mouth to speak, but the words lodged in her throat, feeling oddly misplaced. Nevertheless, even if Qin Lang broached such matters, she could hardly refuse. It has been days since Qin Lang has remained ensconced in the company of Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu. It was high time she received her due attention. However, priorities must be set straight. Bloodwolf appeared to be facing some complications, potentially uncovering information about the hidden killers. I must attend to this matter swiftly. Wait for me. As she prepared to depart, Qin Lang grasped her arm, furrowing his brow in suspicion. How could the Bloodwolf mercenary group possibly be entangled with the hidden killers? Who informed you of such news? Never mind the source. You have just been affected by the softening powder and have yet to fully recover. Remain at the bar while I investigate. Although she initially intended to object, given that Shira Khanna presides over the Blood Wolf mercenary group. Allowing Qin Lang to venture there alone would only afford that vixen an opportunity. She ultimately conceded, albeit reluctantly. Just be cautious. While they may not be major players in the Hidden Killers, they should not be underestimated. Should danger arise, return immediately and let the people from Sakura country provide cover. Understood. Now, be a good girl and return to your quarters, freshen up, and await my return. Qin Lang's gaze unabashedly roamed her exquisite form before summoning a dark blade warrior to serve as his driver. They set off towards the Blood Wolf's stronghold in an off-road vehicle. Meanwhile, within the bar, in the room of Luo Qingyu, Ning Qianqian cradled a handful of sunlit rose grapes, occasionally plucking one to pop in her mouth with a satisfying crunch. She hummed softly, reflecting on her fourth senior sister, who had always appeared fierce during their time in the sect. Yet in reality, her prowess was hardly impressive. She couldn't even defeat the blood-colored mandrake. If it weren't for Qin Lang's intervention today, that blood-colored mandrake would have long been reduced to a mere footnote in my victories. During their time in the sect, conflicts often arose due to Ning Qianqian's enmity with Chun Fan, leading to frequent disagreements. It was during these moments that the other senior sisters would step in to mediate. Generally, most of them sided with her. Yet the fourth senior sister consistently showed bias towards Chun Fan, resulting in a less than amicable relationship between the two. MHM. Luo Qingyu responded softly, holding a book, her gaze somewhat unfocused. Senior sister, do you really believe there are methods for rapidly enhancing one's strength? Otherwise, how could the blood-color mandrake have grown so formidable in such a short span? The pace of its advancement is astonishing. I strongly suspect that Qin Lang possesses some secret technique for elevating strength. Senior sister, perhaps we should devise a plan to extract some benefits from Qin Lang? If my strength could rival that of the blood-colored mandrake, coupled with my unparalleled skills in poison, any adversary of equal strength would surely fall effortlessly before me. As she spoke, Ning Qianqian stuffed more sunlit rose grapes in her mouth, her cheeks bulging like a hamster hoarding its food, paired with her delicate features and flawless skin. She exuded an endearing charm. Were it anyone else in her presence, regardless of gender, they would likely be unable to resist the urge to poke her cheeks playfully. Yet, Luo Qingyu remained lost in thought, offering only a non-committal hum without further elaboration. What do you mean, HM? Senior sister, are you even listening to me? You haven't turned a single page of that book since I entered. Are you actually reading, or merely lost in contemplation? Her face reflected her displeasure. In a sudden burst of frustration, Ning Qianqian snatched the book from Luo Qingyu's hands and tossed it onto the bedside table. Speak. What on earth has transpired? Have you met with Qin Lang? Luo Qingyu snapped back to reality, locking eyes with her younger sister. She managed a strained smile, one that was more sorrowful than joyful. He told me to go back. Go back. To where? We traveled all the way from Tianyu City to this desolate place, and, as two defenseless women, we merely had a brief encounter, did nothing, and he dares to send us away? What sort of shameless man behaves in such a manner? To summon us at will and dismiss us just as easily? How audacious! I refuse to believe he has the audacity to chase us off. Does Kalan belong to him? Ning Qianqian suddenly erupted, throwing the bare grape stems into the trash with force, and stood up to seek trouble with Qin Lang. Luo Qingyu grasped her arm, exclaiming with a hint of exasperation, "He never said I should come to Kalan. I came of my own volition. Perhaps my presence here has indeed caused him some trouble, as I have witnessed things I should not have. But what's wrong with us coming here? I merely wish to assist him. What if he truly encounters the second senior sister? Who knows what that reckless girl might do? For all we know, if we linger in Tianyu City for a couple of days, by the third day, you might find yourself a widow, and we would lose a second junior sister." Ning Qianqian declared with a grave expression. Given her second senior sister's impulsive nature, if she were unable to subdue Qin Lang, she would undoubtedly fight to the bitter end, inflicting heavy losses on both sides. It is highly likely that they could both meet their demise. No, wait. Qin Lang has no hair to lose, at most. He could just kick his legs. Luo Qingyu earnestly advised, try not to be so agitated. There's no need to shout whenever something happens. Qin Lang merely asked me to return. He never mentioned taking you along. Truth be told, Luo Qingyu harbored some apprehension. The situation already felt off-kilter, and if the junior sister stirred things up further, it would only exacerbate matters. Even if she wished to stay, she would soon find herself devoid of any dignity. What? Didn't he ask me to return as well? Ning Qianqian tugged at her lips and sat back down, retrieving another box of sunlight roses, methodically plucking the grapes and placing them inside. The fervor she had moments ago had vanished, replaced by an air of tranquility. Even Luo Qingyu, who usually maintained a calm demeanor, couldn't help but feel the urge to pinch her junior sister's ear upon witnessing the stark contrast in her reactions. Oblivious to the looming crisis, Ning Qianqian stuffed her cheeks full, calmly reasoning, "Senior sister, if we have to go back, so be it. This place is desolate. Once we leave this bar, encountering a fellow citizen of the Dragon Kingdom would be a rarity. With our language skills, staying here is akin to being mute. Returning would be so much more convenient. Food and drink at our disposal, without the humiliation of being pressured by Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu." "Oh dear, I misspoke. I understand. Senior sister, I was wrong. Is that not enough? Let go, please." As she rambled on about the benefits of returning, Ning Qianqian suddenly shifted her tone, pleading in pain as her ear was pinched. The sunlight rose in her mouth, almost forcing her to spit it out. However, with remarkable determination, Ning Qianqian endured the discomfort, chewing and swallowing the grapes before she began to plead for mercy. "I want to go back. We want to go back. No one needs to return, all right? Senior sister, spare me. You're going to twist my ear off. Let go, please. Just tell me what happened, and I'll offer you a suggestion." Ning Qianqian was in such pain that she felt like jumping up, yet was also afraid of injuring her own ears. Thus, she could only obediently clasp her hands together, begging for mercy from his senior sister. The child had become remarkably docile, pitiably so. Upon witnessing this, Luo Qingyu finally released her grip, furrowing her brow. Due to the matters concerning Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu, Qin Lang felt a sense of guilt towards me and planned to annul the engagement upon returning. He intended for me to leave first and did not wish to rely on my strength to resolve this crisis. Nonsense. This was not about feeling guilty. It was clearly a fear of me causing harm to Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu. Moreover, Qin Lang had never intended to depend on my assistance. He merely wished for me to offer a verbal acknowledgement. It was I who had rushed to this desolate place, unable to be deterred. While Ning Qianqian complained, she rubbed her ears, feeling a sharp sensation in her left ear, as if it had swollen slightly. "Ouch! Senior sister, what on earth has happened again?" Ning Qianqian felt as if she had been struck at her vital point and immediately wilted, with her right ear being twisted as well. After a brief tug, Luo Qingyu finally released her grip, glancing at Ning Qianqian's ears and slowly speaking. "This way, they will appear more symmetrical. Senior sister, I must tell you, were it not for your status as my senior, I would truly wish to strike you down. My ears have been twisted to an outrageous extent, and it infuriates me." Ning Qianqian pouted, cradling her ears, her cheeks puffed in indignation. Noticing her senior sister's expression change again, she quickly realized she had once more ventured into dangerous territory and hastily altered her tone. "Let us not concern ourselves with anything else. Just tell me if you are willing to return, okay?" At this, Luo Qingyu, who had just been about to act, paused, her demeanor once again deflating. Did she wish to return? Certainly not. Otherwise, she would not have taken the initiative to come to this remote Kalan. No matter how humbly she tried to disguise it, the truth was that she harbored a desire, wanting to seize this opportunity to meet Qin Lang. Despite her reluctance to admit it, after experiencing the intimate moments in Qin Lang's office, she could not help but question her true feelings deep within. If she did not wish to return, then she would not. Remaining here, she could wait a while before visiting Qin Lang's office or perhaps his bedroom for a chat. Ning Qianqian rubbed her ears, rolling her eyes. "This is your best opportunity. You must seize it. Although the waters here run deep, with me as your backing, your safety is assured." "What do you mean?" Luo Qingyu asked, her face betraying confusion. Ning Qianqian lowered her hand from her ear, a mischievous smile creeping onto her face. "While I was in contact with Qin Lang earlier, I discreetly administered a little drug, colorless and tasteless. The dosage was just right. At first, he was completely unaware. After a while, once he realizes, the effects will have fully manifested. By then, it will be too late." "What drug?" "Ilav Banjinyan." Ning Qianqian noticed the astonished look on her senior sister's face and assumed it was due to her newly adopted name being unappealing. She hastily proposed alternatives like "I love Li Pinger" or "I love Pang Chunmei." Anything would suffice. Chapter 326. The Traces of Qin Lang Nonsense. Luo Qingyu admonished sharply, promptly rising to extend her hand toward her junior sister, requesting the antidote. Ning Qianqian rolled her eyes. "Antidote? You think I have an antidote? If I did, would I have used such a rudimentary drug on Qin Lang? Have you considered his strength? He likely possesses hidden methods beyond my comprehension. Let me be perfectly clear. The drug I used, akin to I love Pan Jinlian, has no antidote. The only means of detoxification is through that singular method, or else Qin Lang will be utterly consumed by the drug's effects. I assure you, she has already contemplated the consequences of her actions. It will scarcely affect Qin Lang. Even if the senior sister does not seek him out directly, it does not hinder the fact that within this bar, 3 women have already established ambiguous connections with him. Are you truly worried about him being harmed by the drug? Such despicable tactics employed by a young woman like you. Does your conscience not ache? Luo Qingyu glared at her junior sister with disappointment. Ning Qianqian shrugged. Yes, I suppose I am despicable and shameless. Regardless, I have informed you that there is no antidote. Just as Qin Lang intends to drive you away. Consider this. If something were to transpire between you two, would he still have the audacity to send you away? When the drug takes effect, as long as you are alone with him, a little flirtation on your part, and things will naturally progress from there. And do you understand why Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu had the audacity to approach us? They are bolstered by their confidence. Once you and Qin Lang have crossed that threshold, it will be too late to turn back. We need not fear her. Avoiding trouble with her is wise. After all, you are the rightful fiancé of Qin Lang, while Mu Yuyin is merely a former fiancé whose engagement has been dissolved. After a brief pause, Ning Qianqian offered her usual counsel. The method has been laid out before you. The decision rests with you. Should you persist in this obstinacy, I cannot guarantee how events will unfold. In her lengthy explanation, Ning Qianqian's words flowed eloquently, containing elements of manipulation yet retaining a semblance of reason. Observing her senior sister's dazed expression, Ning Qianqian smirked inwardly. How dare she twist her ears? Now, both ears were red and swollen. She could only wait to see if her senior sister would retaliate. The effects of the I Love Pan Jinlian drug were uniquely concocted and incredibly potent. If her senior sister were to be alone with Qin Lang, even her robust constitution would falter. Not to mention, her senior sister had never experienced such matters before. Just the thought filled Ning Qianqian with a sense of vindictive satisfaction. What are you smirking about? Luo Qingyu furrowed her brow, observing her absent-minded junior sister, and scolded her lightly. Ning Qianqian chuckled. Aren't I just delighted? I am overjoyed to see you, senior sister, finally pairing with Qin Lang, a perfect match. Utter nonsense. Luo Qingyu coldly huffed. Turning to leave the room, Ning Qianqian watched her retreating figure, pouting. Indeed, senior sister is a hypocrite. Not only does she twist my ear, but she also rushes off to Qin Lang in such haste. Can't she wait? After exiting her bedroom, Luo Qingyu visited Qin Lang's office, only to find it empty. She then checked his bedroom, but still found no trace of him. Even after seeking out Mu Yuyin's residence, she was met with disappointment. Qin Lang? Has he returned? She inquired. But Mu Yuyin, looking puzzled, shook her head, unaware of Qin Lang's whereabouts. Remembering the events of the afternoon, she added, Miss Luo, perhaps my tone earlier was a bit off. Please don't take it to heart. No worries. Luo Qingyu waved her hand dismissively, showing indifference to such trifles. Yet, after receiving her response, she lingered at the doorway, seemingly reluctant to depart. Mu Yiyin found herself perplexed by Luo Qingyu's thoughts. Suddenly, Lin Yuchu burst from the bedroom, throwing back her quilt, clad in a silk nightgown. She hurried to the door, flinging it wide open and gesturing inside. Qin Lang is truly not here. I've even contacted some informants at the bars. If there's any news of Qin Lang, they will notify us immediately. Yet none have come by so far. He has been busy outside all day. Who knows where he is at this hour? If Miss Luo feels uneasy, you may come in and search. No need. Luo Qingyu shook her head and turned to leave. With no one in the office or bedroom, and neither Mu Yiyin nor Lin Yuchu knowing his whereabouts, she sought out the remaining bodyguard. Junzi, where is the young master? She asked. I have no idea. Is there something you need from him, Miss Luo? I'll inform you the moment he returns. Junzi scratched his head, looking simple-minded. Yes, not at the bar? Luo Qingyu frowned, sensing that this bodyguard seemed somewhat cunning, appearing foolish yet shrewd. Junzi replied, I am not quite sure. He just came back. But at this hour, I can't tell what he is busy with. He might be in some room at the bar. You, as a bodyguard, are just like Qin Lang, sneaky and sly. You probably know that he is with the scarlet mandala and deliberately led me to search for him in the bar. Didn't he you? Unable to contain herself, Ning Qianqian, who had been secretly planning to eavesdrop and perhaps record something, finally stepped forward. Junzi shrank his neck, remaining silent in a hesitant manner. Miss Luo, Miss Ning, I implore you both to show mercy and not to put me in a difficult position. I truly do not know where the young master is, nor do I have any knowledge of whether he is with Miss Shui. Had it not been for the knowledge that Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian were inseparable, he would have directly replied that the young master had not returned when Luo Qingyu asked her first question. A competent bodyguard would never divulge the precise whereabouts of their master. Which room is the blood mandala in? Ning Qianqian inquired, intent on confronting her directly. Before Junzi could respond, the blood mandala, who was sipping a cocktail below, interjected, stating he had already left and was not with her. Thus there was no need to search my room. On the second floor, the Luo Ning sister duo approached the railing, their gazes meeting the blood mandala at the bar below. There was no electric spark of confrontation, nor did they gaze deeply into each other's eyes. Left, Luo Qingyu turned her head to scrutinize her junior sister. Ning Qianqian simply shrugged her shoulders. It's over. I can't hold it anymore. This is disastrous. If Qin Lang were still in the bar, along with my senior sister, there would be 5 women, easily able to mitigate the adverse effects of the drugs. But if he truly has been released, he would be a walking disaster. Chapter 327. The tragic Bloodwolf Mercenary Corps. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the Bloodwolf Mercenary Corps, located north of Kellen, there stood a large inn, often engaged in unsavory dealings, frequented mostly by outsiders visiting Kellen. On the surface, it appeared to be an unlicensed inn. Unknown to many, this establishment had changed hands months ago and was now under the control of the Bloodwolf Mercenary Corps. Inside the inn on the 5th floor, in a spacious room adorned with imported carpets, a group of high-ranking bloodwolves knelt. Shirakana, her leg wrapped in black stockings crossed over the other, rhythmically swung her high-heeled foot while holding a glass of red wine. Listening to the report of a ninja from the IGA clan, she swirled the wine in her glass, took a delicate sip, and peered down at the assembled high-ranking bloodwolves. Who among you is Bloodshaw? I am. At that moment, a burly man, under the pressure of a senior ninja, forced himself to lift his head, his eyes wild with rage. Kill me if you wish. We Bloodwolves have never offended the Darkblade. Your brazen humiliation will one day be avenged when our leader returns, and it will be you who will taste the blood of the Darkblade. This man, known as Bloodshaw, held a prominent position within the Bloodwolf Mercenary Corps, overshadowing many, second only to Yifeng. His temper was explosive. Despite having countless bones potentially broken, he remained like a fierce wolf, ready to pounce on Shirakana at the slightest lapse of attention from the senior ninja, prepared to tear her apart. You vile women, when our boss returns, I will ensure you are subjected to 1,000 tortures, first defiled, then slain. Regrettably, I shall not live to witness that time. Otherwise, I would undoubtedly relish your essence. A burly man, with his head pressed to the ground, laughed uproariously in the direction of Ishihara Kanai. What a waste. Cut off his head. Ishihara waved her hand, and a cherry blossom ninja promptly severed his head with a kunai. Observing the elite of the Bloodwolf organization, she thought that, were it not for their considerable strength, there would be no need for her to squander time here. In her mind, she was determined to eliminate a few of them. However, in order to leave a better impression on Qin Lang, she had to invest extra effort to ensure that matters were executed with greater finesse. As for that Bloodwolf mercenary who dared to express his lust for her, he had already crossed her bottom line. The attire she wore was entirely inspired by Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu, augmented with a touch of allure, intended to capture Qin Lang's attention. Not the greedy gazes of these worthless men. Brother, take care. If I ever survive, I will definitely help you experience the flavor of this little vixen. Bloodshaw's eyes blazed crimson as he laughed heartily, tilting his head back in a display of bravado. Ishihara Kanai furrowed her brow, aware of Bloodshaw's status and the utility he represented, unwilling to dispose of him so easily. She could only steel herself and coldly interrogate. Earlier, a member of Bloodwolf mentioned that Insha would seek vengeance for them. What does that mean? Do you have connections with Insha? Or are you perhaps members of Insha yourselves? Has someone leaked information? Bloodshaw raised his head, grinning menacingly. Are you afraid? Haha, I never imagined the Dark Lord would be such a timid woman. If our Bloodwolf leader were present, you would hardly be worthy of consideration. Damn it. That bastard leader has been in long country without a word. Who knows what pleasures he is indulging in? Dark Lord called a cherry blossom ninja, perplexed by the sudden shift in the Dark Lord's temperament. Had it been in the past, Bloodshaw would have been subjected to 1,000 tortures for his insolence. Ishihara Kanai wished to speak further, to extract more useful information, but just as she was about to utter a word, the door to the room swung open. The Darkblade warrior who opened the door discreetly retreated, and a slender figure stepped inside. The atmosphere in the room instantly fell into silence. Ishihara Kanai stood up voluntarily, vacating her seat to allow Qin Lang to occupy it, then knelt quietly beside him, gently grasping one of his legs. Qin Xiao, what brings you here? I can handle these trivial matters on my own. Is that so? Did you not send someone to notify Tualuo to assist? Qin Lang's hand rested on Ishihara Kanai's chin, applying a slight pressure that reddened her delicate jaw. He gazed into her eyes, his tone calm, yet unyielding. I hope you have not entertained any ill intentions. If you scheme to eliminate Tualuo through the hand of Insha, then both you, as the Dark Lord, and the entire Darkblade shall have no reason to remain. Do you understand? Throughout the inn, shadows of the Darkblade organization lurked, among whom were several elite jonin from the Koga school, including the formidable Ishihara Kanai herself, whose prowess was on par with that of her peers. Yet, amidst such formidable company, only Qin Lang remained audaciously unyielding, showing no trepidation towards Ishihara Kanai's potential betrayal. What nonsense is this from young Master Qin? Indeed, it was the Bloodwolf mercenary corps that had entangled itself with the hidden killers, and out of concern for insufficient manpower, I had merely informed Miss Shui. Ishihara Kanai, with her chin firmly grasped, displayed no hint of fear. Rather, she wore an expression of acquiescence, her hands unhurriedly attending to Qin Lang's legs. This scene, witnessed by the likes of Shui Sha and others, was nothing short of astonishing. What was happening? The once fearsome Darkblade leader, who had previously decapitated their comrades with ease, now knelt submissively before a stranger, even under duress. There was no thought of resistance. Instead, her compliance seemed to deepen, resembling that of a devoted maid. Even the upper echelons of the Bloodwolf, whose lives were precariously held in balance, could not help but feel a surge of intense jealousy at the sight. Ishihara Kanai's beauty was beyond dispute, undoubtedly ranking among the most exquisite women they had ever encountered. Coupled with her elevated status, her allure was further magnified. At that moment, her attire was strikingly enchanting, reminiscent of a captivating fairy, enthralling all in her presence. To them, she was a cold-blooded harbinger of doom, yet to Qin Lang, she was as submissive as a maid. Even during the incessant beeping of airport security checks, when it was ultimately revealed that she possessed a will of iron, the stark disparity began to erode their resolve. Chapter 328. Subduing the Bloodwolf. Crisis emerges young Master Qin. Amidst the chaos earlier, someone from the Bloodwolf mercenary corps invoked the hidden killers as a threat. There seemed to be some discrepancies at play. Ishihara Kanai knelt before Qin Lang, as docile as a kitten. Indeed, she harbored an acute cleanliness obsession, particularly evident in the main headquarters of the Darkblade, where even the slightest touch to the sofa would result in severe punishment or even obliteration. Yet, in the presence of Qin Lang, her almost obsessive-compulsive cleanliness began to wane as she deliberately sought to cultivate a favorable impression in his mind. Hoping to secure a higher standing, she disdainfully refrained from pandering to men, yet no one understood better how to win their favor. In this moment, facing the upper ranks of the Bloodwolf mercenary corps, she raised her gaze scarcely, treating even the jonin of her own Darkblade as mere tools. Devoid of any regard, only before Qin Lang did she exhibit such compliance and endearment, instinctively behaving like a devoted maid without needing to be commanded. Who is Blood Eagle? Qin Lang mused, glancing at the list in his hand while surveying the upper echelons of the Bloodwolf mercenary corps below him. Kill or maim. I leave it to your discretion. A man of average stature raised his head, gritting his teeth, his gaze sharp as an eagle's as he fixed a glare upon Qin Lang. Yet, despite his attempts at concealment, the deep-seated trepidation in his eyes could not escape Qin Lang's discerning gaze. It was evident that this Bloodhawk was among the few with ulterior motives within the Bloodwolf mercenary corps. Even a hardened warrior like Blood Shah felt a twinge of uncertainty upon witnessing Qin Lang's submission to the Darkblade and Darkmaster, leaving him perplexed about the situation. Clearly, the recent ambush on their mercenary group was orchestrated by this enigmatic figure, who, like their leader, hailed from the Dragon Kingdom. They were oblivious to the fact that their own Bloodwolf mercenary corps had crossed paths with such a powerful figure. And what of the Blood Demon? Qin Lang casually tossed aside the list in his hand, his tone imbued with an undeniable authority. Blood Demon? What Blood Demon? Bloodshaw's pupils were filled with dread. The moniker of Blood Demon was known by scarcely anyone in the Bloodwolf mercenary corps, with even some high-ranking members left in ignorance. This was a secret unknown to the lower-ranked mercenaries. Even should a traitor emerge, the information regarding the Blood Demon ought not to be disclosed. It appeared that the Blood Demon was not present here. Bloodshah, Bloodhawk, Blood Demon, and Blood Drip. Were these not the four great guardians of Yifeng? How could it be that the most esteemed blood demon was absent from the Blood Wolf stronghold? Could it be that this was the very source upon which your hidden assassins relied? Had this blood demon forged an alliance with the hidden assassins? Qin Lang's hand rested on the head of Ishihara Renai, stroking it rhythmically, akin to petting a cat. His demeanor was utterly relaxed, as if he regarded neither the blood demon nor the hidden assassins with any concern. Who exactly are you? How do you possess information about the blood demon? Furthermore, how do you know our leader's true name? Bloodshot nearly shattered his steel teeth as he roared in fury. At this juncture, any further concealment of information would be an act of folly. The fact that this mysterious man knew their leader's details rendered the existence of the blood demon inconsequential. With a sigh, Qin Lang replied, "There is no need for such agitation. The source of my information is of little significance. What truly matters is that you are all now my vanquished foes. You have but two choices, submit or perish." Preposterous. Since you are aware of our leader's identity, you must also know of his capabilities. To dare to humiliate the Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps in our leader's absence will lead to your demise upon his return. Bloodshaw's eyes blazed with fury. Bloodhawk and the others joined in the uproar, shouting at Qin Lang, but soon, under Ishihara Renai's subtle gaze, each of the shinobi increased their grip, causing gasps of shock to echo throughout the private room, contributing significantly to global warming. Their arms were twisted and broken. Qin Lang raised his hand, signaling the group of Koga shinobi to cease, casually observing the Blood Wolf high-ranking members below, and remarked with feigned admiration, "I never would have imagined that Yi Feng, that worthless fool, still holds such prestige among you Blood Wolves. Regrettably, even if you desire his assistance in avenging you, it appears that such an opportunity has eluded you. Alas, that useless Yi Feng has met his demise at my hands, and I have scattered his ashes. Impossible. You speak nonsense. Our leader, though young, possesses extraordinary strength. How could he possibly be vanquished by you?" Bloodshot shook his head vehemently, his gaze turning vicious, akin to a ferocious tiger, fixating on Qin Lang. With a thunderous roar, he forcefully broke his own arm, tearing the skin apart, blood gushing forth as he lunged towards Qin Lang. "Baka!" cried a shinobi from the Koga clan, charging fiercely and forcefully pressing Bloodshaw's head into the ground. This scene was exceedingly gruesome, instilling terror in the hearts of onlookers at Bloodshaw's ferocity. Even Qin Lang, the arch-villain, felt ripples of unease within him upon witnessing such a spectacle. What a pity! If only Bloodshaw were from the Dragon Nation, with such audacity, that cherry blossom shinobi would surely meet his demise. But do not be so hasty in your excitement. Did not your leader return to the Dragon Nation, and then head to Tianhai City in search of his beloved? Furthermore, I recall that previously, your Blood Wolves dispatched someone to Tianhai City, did they not? That individual has also gone missing? When Yi Feng was still alive, he should have shared insights about that unfortunate soul with you. Consider this. If Yi Feng were still alive, how long has it been since he departed from the Blood Wolves? Would he really remain silent without a single message? Qin Lang spoke with an air of calm, his words possessing an almost magical quality, shattering the pride and faith of Bloodshaw and his companions. If Yi Feng were indeed alive, why has he not contacted them even once? If their leader had not perished, how could Qin Lang possess such profound knowledge about the Blood Wolves' affairs? Now, I trust you comprehend your predicament? Qin Lang's gaze swept over the high-ranking members of the Blood Wolves. The means of subjugation were clear. Severing their escape routes compelled them to make choices aligned with his interests. Before the Blood Wolves could respond, a gunshot resounded. Bloodshaw's head erupted like a ripe watermelon, blood spraying everywhere. You killed Bloodshaw? In that moment, Blood Eagle could no longer contain himself, his pupils wide with terror. Why? How could this be? Qin Lang, aware of the Blood Wolves' hierarchy, must understand Bloodshaw's significance. How could he so casually eliminate him? Had not the previous discourse been in vain? Do you truly believe that such a stubborn individual would capitulate? Qin Lang smiled serenely. Yi Feng's deed, in his eyes, was merely a rebellious wretch, destined to retaliate one day. Those who are excessively loyal have already found their object of allegiance, and thus lost their value. Those who are excessively cunning, even if they have yet to choose a master, hold no worth. No sooner had he uttered these words than another gunshot rang out, and Blood Eagle's head too was obliterated. After much rambling from the leader, a significant faction of the Blood Wolf organization's upper echelon has come to perceive Qin Lang's intentions as one of capitulation. However, circumstances have drastically shifted. 2 of the 4 guardians have been executed with a single gunshot to the head. Such a heartless act of killing is unparalleled. Qin, these are senior members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group. If you eliminate them all, It may be impossible to command respect, Kanai Ishihara softly cautioned. After all, she had previously guaranteed the successful completion of the mission. If Qin Lang were to proceed with his ruthless methods and slaughter those loyal to the former leader of the Blood Wolf, how could he possibly rally the multitude of mercenaries beneath him? Ignoring Kanai Ishihara's concerns, Qin Lang beckoned to a figure clad in a black robe and mask. You, come here. The masked individual lifted their head, revealing a pair of indifferent eyes, devoid of any reaction. This mask is permanently affixed to their face. It cannot be removed without tearing the skin, Ishihara explained. I feared it might dirty my eyes, which is why I refrained from forcibly removing it. The blood dagger. Concealed within the Blood Wolf mercenary group for so many years, merely seeking to ingratiate themselves with Yi Feng and bide their time for revenge against the one who obliterated their homeland. Now, I have not only avenged that grievance for you, but I have also eliminated 2 of the group's mainstays. By rights, should I not be considered your benefactor? Listening silently to Ishihara's exposition, Qin Lang wore a subtle smile as he regarded the masked blood dagger. Familiar with the narrative surrounding Yi Feng, he was well aware of Blood Dagger's existence. Unfortunately, the plot had not progressed to that juncture, as Yi Feng had already been dealt with. Of course, even if the story were to continue, Blood Dagger would ultimately prove incapable of exacting revenge. Firstly, Blood Dagger would not stand a chance against Yi Feng in the later stages, and secondly, Yi Feng possessed an exceptional talent for verbal manipulation, coupled with an aura that dulled the intellect of those around him. It could be said that the attempts at assassination would be met with failure time and again, until ultimately, Blood Dagger's resolve for vengeance would be undermined by Yi Feng's clever rhetoric. What a pitiable figure Blood Dagger is. Not only was their family obliterated by the relentless gunfire of the Blood Wolf mercenary group, but they also bore the scars of disfigurement. In the end, they even forsook their desire for retribution under the influence of the fateful sun, Yi Feng's verbal prowess, and the debilitating aura that dulled their resolve. Curse that fateful sun. The very thought of it is utterly repugnant. How do you know about my circumstances? Where did you acquire such knowledge? A hint of confusion flickered in Blood Dagger's otherwise tranquil gaze. Throughout this ordeal, even when their life hung precariously in the balance, there was no trace of fear. For their sole purpose in life was vengeance. This was a secret known only to them, and they had confided in no one. They could not fathom how Qin Lang had come by this information. Qin Lang chuckled lightly. I have my own channels. Let me ask you, after eliminating the 3 major guardians of the Blood Wolf, can you bear the banner of the Blood Wolf? If you can, I will elevate you to the position of the leader of the Blood Wolf mercenary group. If you cannot, then you may depart. After all, you are sworn enemies with Yi Feng. Should I eliminate him, your retribution would not befall me. After departing from this place, you and I shall have no further entanglements. I shall do my utmost. The cherry blossoms behind me released the blood droplet under Ishihara Kanai's signal, allowing her to rise. She responded dully, somewhat bewildered by her current predicament. Had her greatest foe perished? What purpose did her survival serve? This enigmatic man who had slain Yi Feng, could he be regarded as her benefactor? Come here. Qin Lang beckoned, indicating for the blood droplet to approach him. He retrieved a pill from his bosom and handed it to her, instructing her to consume it. Without the slightest hesitation, she swallowed the pill. Even if it were poison, she felt no fear. At worst, death would liberate her from a troublesome predicament, sparing her the worry of Qin Lang harboring ulterior motives regarding her body. A disfigured individual, such as herself, could hardly compare to the Dark Blade Master by his side. There existed a vast chasm between them. Gradually, she sensed a peculiar tingling sensation coursing through her body, most palpable on her face and arms. The mask upon her visage remained unremovable, yet she observed with her own eyes as the burns on her arms visibly faded at an astonishing rate. Qin Lang, with a smile, offered her 2 more beauty pills. After all, she was a woman. Having promised to serve under him, it was imperative that she no longer concealed her face behind a mask. These 3 pills would eradicate her scars. By taking 1 each day, she could eventually remove her facial mask. The rest would be arranged by me. You need only follow my instructions. Understood. The blood droplet nodded, kneeling on one knee to express her submission to Qin Lang. Meanwhile, within a modest inn, Chun Fan stood by the window, gazing into the night beyond, his expression one of cold indifference. 4th Senior Sister. What do you suppose is the extent of the relationship between Senior Sister and Qin Lang? He spoke softly, though internally he was tormented by turmoil. Senior Sister. She had been his beloved since childhood. How could she betray the bond of brotherhood for a stranger, for a sudden engagement? No matter how reluctant he was for Senior Sister to intervene, he ultimately wished to spare her from trouble. The reluctance to act did not equate to a desire for her to remain uninvolved. He wondered, given Senior Sister's character, she would likely refrain from any overstep before the engagement was fulfilled. Reincarnation lingered unnoticed, even present in the room, devoid of any discernible aura, eerily resembling a shadow in the night, silent and still. An engagement, huh? What a fine engagement. Who would have thought a mere engagement could bind Senior Sister so? Or does Qin Lang possess some enchanting power that even Senior Sister finds herself entranced? Chun Fan's voice trembled with a suppressed hysteria, his hands clenched tightly at his sides, the nails embedding into his flesh without him perceiving the pain. Qin Lang, he shall pay for this. The voice of reincarnation echoed with a hint of fury. Had it not been for Qin Lang shattering the legs of her junior disciple, she would not have faced the humiliating torment akin to the blood-red mandala during her later investigations. Fourth sister, cease your solitary endeavors. Wait until I have recovered, and together we shall slay him. Chun Fan turned, his face etched with concern. His gaze towards the cycle of reincarnation softened considerably. Ru Hui shook her head. Focus on your recovery. I have received word that Qin Lang is currently alone at the Blood Wolf stronghold. This is the perfect moment to act. Chun Fan countered. His strength is formidable, perhaps even surpassing yours, and he is accompanied by experts like the Blood-Red Mandala. Fourth sister, you could be in grave danger. If the Blood-Red Mandala is present, I shall withdraw. If not, then by this time next year, Qin Lang's demise will be certain. Ru Hui's voice was resolute. She had never mentioned the degradation she suffered at the hands of the Blood-Red Mandala, nor did she have the face to bring it up before her junior disciple. In her heart, she had vowed that both the Blood-Red Mandala and Qin Lang must meet their end. If the news was accurate and the Blood-Red Mandala did not accompany Qin Lang, with her increasingly refined disguise techniques, she could easily transform into the Blood-Red Mandala, who was closest to Qin Lang. Every aspect, from aura to physique, would reveal no flaw. Qin Lang would surely face a fate of 10 deaths without life. Fourth sister, I am well aware of your kindness towards me. However, this endeavor is fraught with peril. You must ensure your timely escape. Chun Fan approached Ru Hui, intending to grasp her wrist, but felt an inexplicable hesitation midway. His heart was in turmoil, uncertain whether it was concern for his elder sister or worry for the fourth sister. Ultimately, he withdrew his hand, offering heartfelt admonitions. Ru Hui responded with a soft hum, then transformed into a dark shadow, vanishing from the room. As he watched her departure, Chun Fan's thoughts became increasingly agitated. His elder sister, she was the one he had longed for since childhood, a love that consumed him. Now, she was on the brink of fracture over an engagement. Conversely, the fourth sister, though taciturn and lacking in fervent attentions, consistently thought of him. Every action was taken in secrecy, never intended for display before him. Such a woman, such a fourth sister. How could he continue to conceal his true feelings? Upon the fourth sister's return, regardless of whether she succeeded in assassinating Qin Lang, he would confess his emotions. From this day forth, he would no longer be merely the fourth sister's junior disciple, but the man she could trust and rely upon. As Chun Fan gazed into the night, he affirmed his feelings step by step, his admiration for the seemingly indifferent yet deeply caring fourth sister reaching its zenith. Meanwhile, at the Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps stronghold, after discarding the bodies of Xue Sha and Xue Ying, Xue Dizzy, alongside the remaining high-ranking members of the Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps, who had succumbed to the torment, sought to rally a large number of mercenaries. Within the Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps, each senior member commands a considerable contingent of mercenaries. Presently, in an endeavor to consolidate authority, Xue Dizzy has begun to usurp these powers, replacing the existing leadership. Henceforth, there shall be but one leader of the Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps, and that is she, Xue Dizzy. Qin Xiao, how did you come to know about the past entanglements between Xue Dizzy and the former leader of the Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps? Si Duan Hua Nai Yin Guit Sopti, her delicate hands pressing upon his shoulders. In her eyes, Qin Lang was a figure of immense influence, possessing extraordinary prowess that had completely captivated her. As her understanding deepened, the bizarre extent of Qin Lang's intelligence network began to instill a sense of dread within her, evoking a fear that was hard to shake. It was as if no matter the circumstance, nothing could elude Qin Lang's keen perception. Whether it pertained to her deep-seated vendetta in Sakura country or the secrets known solely to her regarding Xue Dizzy. No matter how she pondered, she could not fathom the source of Qin Lang's information, a notion far too perplexing. Do not inquire about matters that do not concern you. Qin Lang replied coolly, offering no further explanation. He found no inclination to fabricate excuses, allowing Shi Yuan Huan Nai to indulge in her own speculations, perhaps imagining that he was backed by a formidable intelligence network. What of it? Such imaginings posed no detriment. Rather, they deepened her trepidation and solidified her innate sense of submission. Qin Xiao, I wonder if, given Huan Nai's current standing, I might obtain a vial of the physique-enhancing potion? Although Huan Nai's strength was commendable, it paled in comparison to that of the Scarlet Mandala Lady. If she continued to develop in Qin Lang's shadow, she would ultimately remain a mere footnote, a character destined to be discarded. You understand, Qin Xiao, that I bear a profound grudge until this vendetta is avenged. My heart shall find no peace. Qin Lang remained silent. Since his arrival at the Blood Wolf mercenary core base, he had sensed an unsettling discord within his body, as if absurd thoughts were persistently surging forth from his mind. It dawned on him. It was undoubtedly the machinations of Ning Qianqian. Only her exceptional proficiency in toxins could have ensnared him so stealthily. This substance was colorless and tasteless, rendering detection impossible. And Qin Lang suspected that even Ning Qianqian herself might not possess the means to counteract it. Her methods were always ruthless, particularly when dealing with men. Yet, even the so-called little medical sage Ning Qianqian could not compare to him in the realm of healing. His medical skills transcended the highest echelons of expertise. Far beyond her grasp, the poison she could not neutralize, he could. The ailments she could not cure, he could revive. However, why should he seek to remedy a poison that afflicted his own being? Alas, I possess the ability to detoxify, yet I choose not to. It is merely a game. Should any unfortunate event occur, such as the Crimson Mandala discovering his connection with Ishihara Kanna, he would unhesitatingly shift all blame onto Ning Qianqian. This would undoubtedly provoke a simultaneous assault from both the Crimson Mandala and Luo Qingyu, casting aspersions upon Ning Qianqian and reducing her to the dust. In that moment, he would lament deeply, while inwardly reveling in the liberation he granted her. This treatment of being forsaken by the world, yet singularly forgiven by him, would inevitably shake Ning Qianqian's steadfast resolve. TSK, TSK, TSK. As Qin Lang indulged in his musings, Ishihara Kanna had already maneuvered from behind to the front. Ding! Congratulations to the host for securing the fortune of the girl, Ishihara Kanna. Congratulations to the host for acquiring a villain value of 100,000. Due to the unique fortune of the girl, the villain value is doubled. Ding! Congratulations to the host for a villain value of 10,000. Ding! Congratulations to the host for a villain value of 10,002. Just then, a knock resounded from outside the room. It was a warrior from the Dark Blade, speaking in fluent, Sakura-accented dragon tongue. Mr. Qin, Miss Crimson Mandala has arrived and seeks an audience with you. Qin Lang furrowed his brow as he glanced towards the door. Then at Ishihara Kanna, who remained prostrated before him, his expression tightening. Mr. Qin has already departed. Please let Miss Blood return. Ishihara Kanna's voice bore no trace of hesitation. Calm as a volcano on the verge of eruption, silent yet bubbling with internal fervor. Miss Blood has urgent matters to discuss. The Darkblade warrior persisted, refusing to leave. Even Ishihara Kanna, faced with such a foolhardy subordinate, felt her anger rise, contemplating a wildly unreasonable demand to ensure the warrior's demise. Yet Qin Lang reflected to himself, such is the nature of the young master. Rarely do we encounter a bodyguard of this caliber. When will these Darkblade warriors possess even a fraction of the insight and eloquence of a true bodyguard? Why should there be any concern regarding the Crimson Mandala? Were the bodyguard present, the Crimson Mandala would not even reach the lair of the Blood Wolf mercenary group, deceived into departing by the bodyguard's cunning. Miss Blood, I have already retired. If you do not believe me, please enter for a brief discussion. Ishihara Kanna extended a courteous invitation, tinged with an air of irony. Outside the door, silence reigned. After a considerable pause, the warrior finally stated, My lord, Miss Blood has departed. In the span of those 2 minutes, Ishihara Kanna remained on high alert, not daring to let her guard down until the sound of the warrior's retreating footsteps echoed away. Only then did she relax, collapsing onto the bedding with a sigh of relief. At last, she had managed to send the Crimson Mandala away. Just as she felt her tension dissipate, Qin Lang frowned. Glancing towards the window on the 3rd floor, where a figure swiftly entered, the Crimson Mandala herself, clad in a black night cloak. Huh! The face of the Crimson Mandala bore a hint of a sardonic smile, remaining silent as her frigid gaze scrutinized Qin Lang and Shere Kana. It was as if she held the key to Qin Lang's vulnerabilities, yet refrained from unleashing her power. She appeared to sit in judgment, having discerned Qin Lang's weaknesses, believing herself capable of casting him beneath her heel. In this moment, despite Qin Lang's efforts to maintain composure, he found himself unable to suppress his agitation. Shere Kana, on the other hand, felt an overwhelming sense of trepidation. The Crimson Mandala did not erupt in fury, nor did she utter a single word. She merely observed with a chilling smile, advancing step by step, as if assessing the situation with a calculating gaze. This predicament was entirely of my making, and had nothing to do with young Master Qin. Whatever fate awaits me is of no concern to him. Shere Kana understood that her life was not in peril. Qin Lang would never allow her to fall victim to the Crimson Mandala. Instead, she resolved to seize this opportunity to leave a more favorable impression in the eyes of her formidable adversary, assuming as much responsibility for the situation as possible. What do you intend to do? You barge in here without a word. Are you trying to intimidate me? Qin Lang's voice dripped with coldness, laced with hostility. The Crimson Mandala lifted her head, locking eyes with him for an extended moment. Just as she was about to speak, Qin Lang seized her arm, pulling her closer. Chapter 330. Terror. Qin Lang had been deceived. Reincarnation had never anticipated such treatment. After all, she had come disguised as the Crimson Mandala, unaware of the latter's presence nearby, and had seized the opportunity to approach Qin Lang directly. She felt a pang of anxiety, no matter how adept her disguise. She dared not display too much emotion or utter a word for fear of being recognized by Qin Lang, even as she witnessed the unsettling scene unfold before her. She could not afford to react with overt horror, nor could she scold. She could only mimic the Crimson Mandala's expression. Why the perpetual smirk? The reason was simple. In her encounters with the Crimson Mandala, the latter had consistently worn such a frigid demeanor, one that reincarnation had come to know all too well. Reincarnation scoffed softly, attempting to free herself from Qin Lang's grip and make her escape. This despicable, shameless Qin Lang had no qualms about treating the Crimson Mandala with such brutishness, lacking any semblance of decorum. Even the closest of intimacies, such tyranny seemed unwarranted. Where in the world could one find a man so barbaric? Yet, no matter how hard she struggled, Qin Lang's grip was like a vice, firmly ensnaring her wrist, rendering her efforts futile. Why the rush to leave? Qin Lang observed the Crimson Mandala with a playful glint in his eyes. He was oblivious to the true identity of this woman masquerading as the Crimson Mandala, marveling at the finesse of her disguise. It seemed that in all of Clan, few possessed such remarkable skill. Others would find it impossible to discern the subtle differences in her appearance. Not even the most adept experts could. However, while she might deceive others, to think she could deceive Qin Lang was sheer folly. The skill of advanced danger perception is not to be taken lightly. Even if the Crimson Mandrake were to appear, it could not bestow upon him any sense of peril. This woman is certainly not the Crimson Mandrake herself. Who could she possibly be? Could it be the esteemed senior sister Luo Qingyu? Or perhaps the second senior sister, the master of hidden assassination? Based on the information he currently possesses, he can only speculate about these two remarkable women known for their unparalleled disguise techniques. If it truly is Luo Qingyu, then witnessing such a scene would render all his previous efforts futile. He cannot allow his prior dedication to be squandered in vain. Knowing that danger lurks, one must still venture forth toward it. If it is indeed the second senior sister, then this woman, having impersonated the Crimson Mandrake without ever having met her, is undoubtedly of ill repute. It is only fitting that she be taught a lesson. As for Qin Shao, with the arrival of Miss Shui, Hikari Ishihara ought to graciously step aside. A pang of reluctance stirred within Ishihara's heart. Unlike those who would shower flattery upon Qin Lang in hopes of securing a more favorable impression, she sought genuine recognition. Alas, the Crimson Mandrake holds a higher status than she, and she could not afford to offend such a vengeful woman over a trivial matter. Understanding her place, she stepped back, gazing with envy and jealousy at the Crimson Mandrake being led away by Qin Lang. She wondered when she might ever receive such acknowledgement, no matter the time or place. Would he ever regard her with the same importance as he did the Crimson Mandrake? To be cherished by Qin Shao would indeed be the greatest honor in the world. In terms of beauty, background, or strength, she had already been captivated by Qin Lang. If she could ever attain the same standing in his heart as the Crimson Mandrake, even without uttering a plea for rescue, Qin Xiao would undoubtedly not overlook her deep-seated grievances. Yiro, what is the matter? Do not be upset. Come here. Let's have a proper conversation. Qin Lang regarded Hikari Ishihara with approval, drawing the Crimson Mandrake closer to him. Yet, the Crimson Mandrake quickly retreated, fearful of his touch. Her demeanor conveyed extreme resistance, even bordering on disgust. What does this mean? Qin Lang's eyes widened in disbelief. His astonished expression could easily be captured as an internet meme, showcasing his exceptional acting prowess that instilled fear. He incredulously cried out, "Do you disdain me? Or do you believe I am no longer worthy of you?" Crimson Mandrake, I never anticipated you would be such a woman. Had I known this earlier, I should not have allowed you to possess me. On the forehead of the reincarnation, 3 enormous red question marks seemed to materialize. Gazing at the man before her, who appeared to be in profound anguish, she could scarcely believe her ears. Such words emanated from this man, a figure of absolute strength who instilled fear, would one day utter such nauseating sentiments. Her hand instinctively shrank behind her, reaching for the dagger she had concealed so well, hoping to deliver a fatal blow while Qin Lang remained blissfully unaware. She had nearly envisioned the moment when Qin Lang would pay for his careless actions. Yet, sometimes, aspirations are grand, while reality is starkly unforgiving. Before she could grasp the hilt of the dagger, her own safety was already in jeopardy. Ding! Gazing at the subtle differences between her and Ishihara Kanai, Qin Lang widened his eyes in shock, exclaiming, "You're not a gyroscope?" Chapter 331. Concerned Shun fan, I'll kill you. I want to kill you. Kill you. Aya. Ding. Congratulations to the host for capturing the Fate's Daughter, Reincarnation, and acquiring 350,000 points of Destiny Villain value. Ding. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 1,000 points of Destiny Villain value. Ding. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 10,002 points of Destiny Villain value. Ding. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 10,003 points of Destiny Villain value. Ding. Ding. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 100,014 points of Destiny Villain value. Qin Lang was profoundly shocked, utterly unprepared for the revelation that the woman disguised as the blood-colored Mandrake was neither Luo Qingyu nor his second senior sister, but actually Reincarnation. Wasn't she supposed to be in Tianhai City? Should she be by Chun Fan's side? Why had she come to Kalan? Could it be that the alteration of the plot led to unforeseen consequences? A myriad of questions flooded Qin Lang's mind, leaving him unable to find immediate answers. He could only unleash his pent-up anger upon Reincarnation. This woman was no saint. Initially, he had intended to eliminate Reincarnation to win the favor of the blood-colored Mandrake. This was no jest or mere flattery. He was genuinely resolved to eradicate her. Regardless of her status as the Fate's Daughter, anyone who provoked his current woman deserved death. However, who could have anticipated that the situation would evolve in such a manner? He had never imagined that the person disguised as the blood-colored Mandrake would turn out to be the most improbable Reincarnation. The coincidence was staggering. Had it not been for the system's alert, he would have remained oblivious. It was not that Qin Lang deliberately sought to mislead. Rather, Reincarnation's voice had transformed into a hysterical tone, starkly contrasting her usual speech. Nevertheless, none of that mattered now. What was significant was that Reincarnation had bestowed upon him a staggering 364,000 points of Destiny Villain value. The reward had astonishingly reached an impressive 350,000 points. This was nearly half of what one would earn from eliminating the Fate's son. What a bargain, an incredible deal. Qin Lang discovered that he was beginning to relish this sense of having gained so much for what seemed like a loss. The following day, Ishihara Kanai cast a grateful glance at the woman disguised as the blood-colored Mandrake, raising her head to observe the dazed Qin Lang. In a soft voice, she inquired, "Qin Xiao, what shall we do about this woman?" Qin Lang cast a detached glance at the disoriented Reincarnation, harboring a hint of dissatisfaction. "Last night I was poisoned, unable to control myself. Otherwise, this woman, masquerading as a gyroscope, would have faced my lethal strike. Now the die is cast, and it seems she no longer possesses the capacity to harbor further nefarious intentions. I shall leave her here. We will return. And should this woman dare to overstep any boundaries again, she shall be executed without hesitation." He refrained from exposing Reincarnation's true nature, instead articulating his inner thoughts with sincerity. After all, Reincarnation had provided him with a considerable amount of villainous merit. Thus, he begrudgingly decided to spare her this once. Just this once. Should reincarnation dare to entertain any ulterior motives again, she would meet her demise without fail. Shira Kana complied, dutifully rising to attend to Qin Lang, assisting him in dressing, brushing his teeth, and rinsing his mouth, attending to every detail. After approximately half an hour, they finally exited the room. Even after such a lengthy interval, reincarnation remained in the same position, lying on the mattress, her gaze vacant and her expression still dim. She felt as though she was no longer herself. Her mind was a blank slate, an unparalleled hatred brewed within her chest. She was oblivious to the means by which Qin Lang had subdued her. Why was she rendered incapable of even the slightest resistance? How could she possibly allow herself to be slaughtered like mere livestock? Her overwhelming fury was gradually eroded in the relentless cycle of day and night. Once she regained her strength, her murderous intent would coalesce into something tangible, and she would stop at nothing, employing every means at her disposal to eliminate Qin Lang. She yearned to drink Qin Lang's blood and feast upon his flesh. As the night descended, the rare coolness in the air of Kalen hinted at a sudden drop in temperature. Reincarnation walked the path home like a soulless automaton. The locals of Kalen, having never encountered a woman of such exquisite beauty, felt an instinctual urge to protect her, despite the disparity in their skin tones. A few approached her, not in jest, but rather out of concern, seeking to cultivate some form of connection. The outcome, however, was far from pleasant. As they all met their demise at Reincarnation's hands, their heads exploding like ripe watermelons. At this moment, Reincarnation resembled a powder keg, ready to ignite at the slightest provocation. Upon returning to her designated room, she numbly entered the bathroom, turning on the shower head. The cold water initially gushed forth even colder, yet it paled in comparison to the chill in her heart. Gradually, her expression grew grave and her demeanor turned sinister. Before long, footsteps echoed through the room, followed by a familiar figure appearing at the bathroom entrance. Chun Fan's voice was warm, yet tinged with concern. "Fourth senior sister, where have you been? Why have you only just returned? Do you have any idea how worried I've been about you?" Second senior sister has temporarily ventured out, taking most of the skilled fighters with her. "I wanted to find you, but had no leads, and I encountered formidable opponents stationed near the Bloodwolf Mercenary Corps. Your whereabouts must have been discovered. Fortunately, I managed to escape in time. The master did not seem inclined to pursue me. Otherwise, this situation could have turned dire. Fourth senior sister, why are you silent? Have you encountered the blood-colored mandala? The entity that harbored a murderous intent toward me must surely be the blood-colored mandala." Chapter 332. Chun Fan's words caused the villainous fate points to soar dramatically. The blood-colored mandala? When did she arrive? Is it possible that she was merely observing coldly from the outside while I suffered from an inexplicable poison? This wretched woman, why does she not reveal herself? Why does she not eliminate me? I would rather meet my demise at the hands of the blood-colored mandala than endure such humiliation. Fourth senior sister, are you inside? The light is on. If you are present, please respond, or I shall enter. Chun Fan tentatively inquired, his hand resting on the doorknob. The cold voice of the reincarnation immediately retorted, "Yes, I am here. Step back. Keep your distance." Chun Fan stood at the door, momentarily dazed and feeling a tinge of disappointment. Yet, he did not wish to defy fourth senior sister, chuckling softly as he shook his head. "Fourth senior sister, you remain as you always were, silent and solitary, preferring to seclude yourself in one place, uttering not a word and taking no action. Yet paradoxically, you are constantly concerned for my safety. Even without your words, I am well aware of all that you have done for me. In the past, when I had conflicts with seventh senior sister, she would report me, and the other sisters would invariably lay some blame upon me. Only you, fourth senior sister, have never done so. In fact, I heard seventh senior sister complain that you chastised her." Chun Fan's voice grew distant, as if savoring memories of the past, filled with profound nostalgia. "In my time of severe injury, the eldest sister became Qin Lang's fiancée, and seventh senior sister aligned herself with her. The whereabouts of the other sisters remain uncertain. Even upon arriving at Hidden Kill, I had no inkling of second senior sister's whereabouts. Yet, fourth senior sister, Reincarnation, has always been by my side whenever I needed her, regardless of time or place. Love at first sight cannot compare to love that deepens over time. The years of companionship have indelibly etched a profound impression in Chun Fan's heart, particularly after the encounter with Qin Lang. Especially last night, after failing to trace fourth senior sister, he found himself in a tumult of worry and anxiety, fearing even the slightest harm might befall her. Fortunately, Fourth senior sister has returned, safe and sound. I must articulate my thoughts, or I will never convey my feelings. Fourth senior sister, in the future, could you refrain from engaging in such perilous endeavors? I understand your desire for vengeance on my behalf, but some matters are far too dangerous. For instance, had you not escaped last night, we might never have had the chance to meet again. Once I recover, shall we seek vengeance together? From this moment forth. Fourth senior sister, could you refrain from such solitary pursuits? Must you bear the weight of all burdens upon your own shoulders? At the very least, I am here, willing to share the load with you. Chun Fan murmured with deep affection, aware that fourth senior sister undoubtedly harbored feelings for him. Yet her reticent nature prevented her from broaching the subject. Now, he yearned to establish a connection, to assure her that he would remain by her side, steadfastly accompanying her in the days to come. As he fervently wiped his arms, shoulders, and thighs, Luan Hui felt an overwhelming sense of agitation upon hearing Chun Fan's heartfelt confession. An inexplicable restlessness surged within her, accompanied by an impulsive desire to shed her very skin. A profound aversion churned in her heart. Fourth senior sister? Chun Fan called out once more, but Luan Hui coldly retorted, what about the eldest senior sister? The once passionate tone of Chun Fan gradually grew frigid. Fourth senior sister. I confess that I once held feelings for eldest senior sister. However, some sentiments inevitably change with the passage of time. She is now the fiancée of Qin Lang, a decision made by the Luo family. I can choose to overlook it, and I do not begrudge her reluctance to seek vengeance on my behalf. Such matters are mine alone and bear no connection to her. But eldest senior sister unjustly imposed all manner of blame upon me for her own choices regarding Qin Lang, and that I cannot abide. If she does not trust me, why should I humiliate myself in pursuit of her affection? Moreover, as you previously mentioned, eldest senior sister seems to protect Qin Lang with a tenderness that may suggest an intimate relationship between them. I, Chun Fan, a man of stature, with my feet firmly planted on the ground and my head held high, how could I possibly harbor feelings for a woman entangled with my adversary? Within the bathroom, a heavy silence enveloped the atmosphere, devoid of any response. Chun Fan stood by the door, feeling uncertain about what thoughts occupied fourth senior sister's mind. Did his words bring her joy, or had she become so overwhelmed that she could not respond? Why was there not even the slightest acknowledgement? After several moments of silence, Chun Fan tentatively called out, fourth senior sister? His hand once again hovered over the doorknob. Just then, the bathroom door swung open, revealing Luan Hui, clad in a damp nightgown, her form wrapped tightly in a thick white towel to avoid any implications. She looked down, her gaze landing on Chun Fan as hand still resting on the doorknob. Her brow furrowed. Didn't I tell you to keep your distance? Fourth senior sister, you misunderstand. It was merely a reflex to place my hand there. Chun Fan observed her icy demeanor, feeling a pang of emotion. This was indeed his fourth senior sister, cold of visage yet warm of heart. Even if she felt joy within, she was disinclined to reveal it outwardly. Were she any other senior sister, one might mistakenly think she harbored murderous intent towards him. Only the fourth senior sister, whose character has always been solitary, becomes increasingly enigmatic in her coldness, stirring profound reflections and musings within him. Previously, when she returned after being defeated by the blood-red mandala while seeking vengeance for him, her expression mirrored this one, even without words. Chun Fan understood that she felt remorse for failing to avenge him. Today, the fourth senior sister again displayed this somber countenance, a clear indication of her reluctance to confront her true feelings, perhaps even a hint of shyness. Truly, how could such an unguarded fourth senior sister, who struggles to conceal her innermost thoughts, be so endearing? Chun Fan's heart swelled with genuine joy. From this moment on, fourth senior sister, you need not remain isolated or bear the immense burden alone. I shall remain by your side, always. He extended his hand, yearning to grasp her delicate fingers. However, a swift motion from the cycle sent his outstretched hand recoiling, exuding an intense chill. Get away from me. Did you not hear? Are your ears deaf? Dare you lay a hand on me? Do you think I fear to end you? Chun Fan stood dumbfounded, watching her retreat towards the bedroom, hurling a dismissive get lost in his direction, momentarily engulfed in a daze. Even as the son of fortune, even with formidable strength, he could never have anticipated such a turn of events. It was all over. He could no longer maintain his composure. His worldview shattered. It was baffling. Yet, it was not difficult to comprehend that after the events of the previous night, This morning, and well into the afternoon, the cycle found herself ensnared in an abyss, desperately yearning for someone to pull her from that dark and boundless chasm. Chun Fan's confession, indeed, was the most opportune gesture at a time when she needed assistance the most. However, he should never have tarnished the reputation of the elder sister, Luo Qingyu. For the cycle was acutely aware that, regardless of any physical intimacy with the elder sister, it could never compare to the bond she shared with Qin Lang. Ding, the son of fortune, Chun Fan, experiences a decline of 500 luck points. Congratulations, the host has gained 10,000 villain points. Ding, the son of fortune, Chun Fan, experiences another decline of 500 luck points. Congratulations, the host has gained 100,002 villain points. Ding, the son of fortune, Chun Fan, experiences a decline of 1,000 luck points. Congratulations, the host has gained 20,000 villain points. Ding. Meanwhile, back at the Dark Blade headquarters, Qin Lang sat at the bar, sipping his drink, adopting a demeanor of profound melancholy, seemingly grieving, yet also harboring resentment for having entrusted himself to an unknown woman. Whether he truly felt resentment was inconsequential. What mattered was that he must appear sorrowful and pained, as if he had been wronged. Yet, even with his team mastery reaching divine levels, upon hearing the system's notification, a flicker of astonishment crossed his eyes. What in the world is happening? Why is Chun Fan's luck points plummeting so rapidly? Did he disturb a hornet's nest? While caring for a despondent girl under the dim glow of a red streetlight, the azure-haired maiden inadvertently exposed a screenshot of a money transfer to her sister group, drawing the attention of the master of hidden assassination. Such audacity! The villain's fate is a relentless accumulation of misfortune, each layer adding to his sorrow. Threatening to crack into laughter. How absurd! Old Chun Fan, you have ruined my tea artistry. Young Master Qin, what troubles you? Was Huan Nai's performance last night unsatisfactory? If it pleases you, Huan Nai would willingly offer her life in atonement. Blame it on that inexplicable drug. Had it not been for that, young Master Qin would not find himself in such a vulnerable position. Huan Nai truly does not know how to counteract the poison, otherwise, you would not be in this state of regret. Furthermore, she would never allow that unknown woman, who disguised herself, to have her way. Initially mistaking the situation for a mere hint, Ishihara Huan Nai quickly ignited the flames of discourse, observing Qin Lang's troubled expression. The atmosphere at the bar was already thick with unspoken tension, and upon learning of Qin Lang's unfortunate encounter the previous night, coupled with Huan Nai's demeanor, most began to speculate what transpired. They had intended to accuse Ishihara Huan Nai of intentionally seducing Qin Lang, but little did they know that he had been poisoned, making Huan Nai the unwitting victim. How despicable! While you may have used poison against me, I could argue that my dagger was also tainted. We could call it even. But when has Qin Lang ever poisoned you? The audacity to deploy such shameless toxins against him is utterly outrageous. Had it not been for you, I would not have suffered such baseless humiliation. The Crimson Mandrake, fierce yet inwardly trembling, sought to transfer her wrath onto Qin Lang. But upon witnessing his somber and concealed fury, she hesitated, redirecting her anger towards Ning Qianqian. It was not that she could not tolerate Qin Lang's associations with others. Rather, she resented the notion that Ishihara Huan Nai, this cherry blossom woman, deserved to stand beside him, not to mention the intrusion of a woman masquerading as her. Truly, had it not been for Qin Lang's subsequent message stating he would spare that woman, she would have already dealt with her decisively. What a humiliation! It is akin to being a minotaur, foolishly trampling on the lush meadows. Disgusting. Why such ferocity? I could not have foreseen this turn of events. Who knew Qin Lang would suddenly leave the night before? Moreover, we intended to pursue him, yet you deliberately cast us aside to rush off alone. Why did you not intervene? Now, at this juncture, you dare to accuse me? On what grounds? Do you not bear any fault in this matter? Ning Qianqian felt wronged. Her intention was merely to administer a colorless, odorless drug for her own and the senior sister's benefit, never anticipating Qin Lang would exit the bar at such an hour. She certainly did not envision this outcome. Moreover, with the Crimson Mandrake in pursuit, and without any intervention, the blame cannot rest solely upon her. And yet, you still persist in denial. The Crimson Mandala let out a cold snort, casting a disdainful glance. Witnessing such a scene last night nearly shattered her composure. A mere glance had prompted her to withdraw instantly, unwilling to venture further for a closer look. Such humiliation, akin to having one's eyes gouged out, could never be washed away. Ning Qianqian, I have truly misjudged you. I once thought you merely a naive green team maiden. I never expected your methods to be so insidious, capable of perpetrating such acts. I, Lin Yuchu, disdain to associate with you. Lin Yuchu clutched Mu Yuyin and pointed accusingly at Ning Qianqian, her ire palpable. She was oblivious to her own past, which had led to her current connection with Qin Lang, arising from her mother's intervention against evil. In truth, she was not entirely averse, detached from the matter at hand. She harbored a flicker of curiosity. She pondered whether her mother's secret concoction surpassed Ning Qianqian's version of I love you. Should she seek an opportunity to compare their strengths? There was a hint of anticipation in her thoughts. Ning Qianqian, you should never have targeted Qin Lang. If something had truly transpired last night, can you bear the weight of that responsibility? In Mu Yin's mind, there were no other considerations. The Minotaur had nothing to do with her, and the unknown woman had not disguised herself as her. She bore no particular animosity towards Shirokana, having exchanged only a few fleeting words. Moreover, she had no past involving any substances. Typically, she merely exploited vulnerabilities. Chapter 333. Luo Qingyu's fury. I did not intend for this to happen. I had no idea things would unfold this way. I thought Qin Lang would remain at the bar. Faced with the trio's accusations, Ning Qianqian found herself at a loss for words. Her gaze pleadingly directed towards the elder sister. At this moment, only the elder sister stood by her side. The other women, be it the Crimson Mandala or Lin Yuchu and Mu Yuyin, had all been alienated by her actions. They were relentless, eager to strike her down at this very moment. She gazed longingly at the elder sister, her beautiful eyes shimmering with ripples of emotion. Luo Qingyu sighed softly, shaking her head, and spoke up. The mistake made by Qianqian is now a matter of fact. I have no excuses to absolve her. However, as the elder sister, I must acknowledge my failure to guide her properly. Upon learning of this situation, I did not act swiftly to provide a remedy. This mistake is not solely Qianqian's. My own shortcomings are significantly implicated as well. Whatever the responsibility or cost may be, both Qianqian and I are willing to bear it. It was over. Ning Qianqian held her forehead, overwhelmed by the impulse to crack open the elder sister's head to see what was inside. Things had been fine. If the elder sister had chosen to remain uninvolved, she could have preserved her own safety, leaving Qianqian with at least one ally. But who would have thought that the elder sister not only refused to feign ignorance, but also willingly shouldered the blame? This transformed their situation from one where a single person faced the consequences to both sisters being struck down together, given their already low status in Kulan's circle. Being pressed down further by Lin Yuchu and Mu Yuyin, the elder sister was now also forced back to Longhua by Qin Lang's orders. Now, having endured such a blow, I can no longer hold myself together. I find myself in an utterly disadvantaged position. Master sister, what does this have to do with you? Ning Qianqian murmured softly, blinking her eyes as a hint. Luo Qingyu was already filled with indignation. This matter should not have been handled this way. Although the accusations from blood-colored Mandala and others were somewhat harsh, they were not without merit. Especially as Mu Yiyan pointed out, it was utterly inappropriate for the junior sister to act in such a manner towards Qin Lang. What if, by chance, Qin Lang were truly placed in jeopardy, leading to irreparable consequences? What then? By that time, regret would be futile. This matter has nothing to do with me. Does it not also have nothing to do with you? It was a mistake from the outset, and instead of proactively accepting the consequences, you are attempting to evade responsibility. Do you think that if I defend you a few more times, this incident will simply be brushed aside? Luo Qingyu's expression turned cold, an unusual severity in her demeanor. Kneel, master sister. Ning Qianqian, with a pitiful look, grasped her hand, her eyes glistening with tears as she whispered softly. Fear gripped her. Seeing the master sister's expression, Ning Qianqian was genuinely afraid. Throughout their years together in the sect, the master sister had always nurtured and cared for her fellow disciples. Even before they possessed their current strength, whenever they faced challenges or dangers during their training missions, the master sister would be the first to appear, helping them out of crises, rescuing them from peril. Even when the troubles were unrelated to their sect tasks, if they were bullied in any way, the master sister would step in to uphold their honor, even if the bully was their own master, as long as it meant protecting her fellow disciples from injustice. The master sister would bear any pain herself, even accepting punishment on their behalf. With such a master sister, Ning Qianqian felt nothing but gratitude and affection, even when she acted mischievously. Yet, when they erred, the master sister would also become angry, filled with indignation and display of fierce disappointment. When she became serious, her severity rivaled that of their master. The crucial point was that when faced with an angry master sister, Ning Qianqian truly felt fear, wilting like a frostbitten eggplant, utterly unwilling to resist, only daring to plead and appear pitiful. Master sister, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Luo Qingyu maintained a stern expression, her voice icy. One must acknowledge their mistakes, and upon acknowledgement, they must bear the consequences and pay the price. Kneel before me. Thud. The usually spirited and mischievous Ning Qianqian, upon facing the master sister's reprimand, did not dare to plead a third time, obediently kneeling on the cold floor of the bar. The chilly porcelain tiles seeping through her delicate skirt, sending a shiver across her skin. Such a scene would even astonish Lin Yuchu. She never imagined that Ning Qianqian, a kindred spirit, would so decisively kneel before so many, displaying such fear of Luo Qingyu. In a fleeting moment, a profound sorrow enveloped me, akin to the poignant lament of a rabbit mourning its fox companion. I am acutely aware that my arrival, along with that of my junior sister, has not been met with open arms by many of you. Furthermore, I cannot absolve Qianqian of her transgressions. Thus, this evening, I shall adhere to the regulations set forth by our sect and administer punishment to my junior sister, providing you with a satisfactory resolution. The remaining responsibilities are entirely mine to bear, and I, Luo Qingyu, shall shoulder them alone. After we resolve the issue of the hidden assassins, my junior sister and I will willingly depart from Kolan and return to Longhua. Fetch the rattan. Luo Qingyu cast a cold gaze towards Junzi, issuing the command. Junzi stood frozen, at a loss for what to do. A rattan? There was none to be found within the bar, and should he choose to pursue this matter earnestly, alternatives could be sought. Yet, given that Ning Qianqian was to be the one punished, he hesitated to retrieve anything. The irony of the situation was not lost on him, for it was Luo Qingyu who would deliver the blows, and refraining from action left him feeling uneasy. Typically astute, Junzi found himself in a quandary, casting a pitiful glance at his master. This cannot be resolved. A soft cough from Qin Lang, who clenched his fist against his mouth, signaled his intent to speak. But he was swiftly silenced by Luo Qingyu's words. One must acknowledge their mistakes. Punishment must be administered appropriately. This is the training of our sect, and I trust you will refrain from interference. Kinlang Shulgit, non comita. Ning Qianqian cast a furtive glance, her heart heavy with trepidation. She understood that this punishment was inevitable. However, more than the physical pain, it was the inner reproach from her senior sister that weighed heavily upon her soul. The torment stemming from that heartfelt disapproval was insufferable. At that moment, Qin Lang rose and approached a row of inebriated patrons, meticulously selecting bottles of foreign wine. He weighed them in his hands, muttering to himself intermittently, "This one too light, too fragile. This is decent, yet not the finest. Ah, this one is perfect, sturdy, and resilient." He lifted a long-necked, rounded wine bottle and exchanged a few words with the staff of the Dark Blade Bar. Moments later, he returned with a case full of similarly shaped bottles. Placing it beside Ning Qianqian and offering the solid wine bottle to Luo Qingyu, saying with a touch of concern, "There are no rattan here. Use this instead. It's sufficiently hard and solid enough to strike her head." He glanced back at Ning Qianqian's head, contemplated for a moment, and then hoisted the entire case of wine bottles, adding, "If one bottle won't suffice, I have an entire case at my disposal." Ning Qianqian, kneeling there, her eyes brimming with tears, widened in disbelief at the sight of the case of wine Qin Lang had brought over. Indeed, she was not afraid of the rattan. She had endured its sting in her youth at the hands of her master. Though painful, she knew she could apply some medicine afterward and heal swiftly. However, what did it mean that Qin Lang had brought an entire case of wine bottles? Was this a suggestion that her senior sister intended to strike her head with one? If one bottle shattered, there would still be a whole case as backup? This was a rhythm that threatened to split her head open, especially as she fixated on the thick, long-necked wine bottle Qin Lang had handed over. Her legs trembled uncontrollably. Her strength is undeniable, yet it does not imply that she has mastered invulnerability or impenetrability. A single, robust glass bottle would be sufficient to leave her dazed. The atmosphere grew tense. Not only was Ning Qianqian a loss, but even Luo Qingyu appeared somewhat dazed. Qin Lang thrust the wine bottle into Luo Qingyu's hands, tugging at her arm to draw her nearer to Ning Qianqian. He pointed at Ning Qianqian's head and urged, "Hurry up, don't hesitate, smash it, strike with all your might. Aim right here, I assure you, one solid hit will ensure that your little junior sister will never forget this lesson. If she dares to be defiant again, fear not, for there is a whole crate of bottles. He released her, crossing his arms, watching the unfolding drama with an amused glint in his eyes. No one dared to speak at that moment. It was palpable that a dangerous aura permeated the air. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Luo Qingyu, clutching the wine bottle that Qin Lang had forcibly given her, hesitated, uncertain of how to proceed. She had indeed spoken of teaching her junior sister a lesson. But using such a weapon was out of the question. No matter where she struck, it would be a painful affair. Suddenly, Luo Qingyu's expression shifted as she unhesitatingly brought the wine bottle towards her own forehead. Qin Lang's eyes widened in shock, and he swiftly seized her wrist, admonishing, "What are you doing? Are you intending to smash your own head for my amusement?" Luo Qingyu's expression was resolute, stating, "Qianqian's mistake is one for which I, as her senior sister, bear responsibility. I shall accept the consequences." Qin Lang's lips twitched as he tightened his grip. To be frank, had it not been for his physical prowess, which had reached 500, he would have been unable to intervene in time. She was genuinely fierce. Had Qin Lang delayed just a second longer, the bottle would have indeed struck her head with a shattering force, without any restraint. Enough. Let this matter conclude here. Qin Lang's demeanor turned cold. You claim that your sect's discipline forbids my interference? Very well. That is your sect, and it is beyond my jurisdiction to meddle. However, this incident transpired in my presence, and I have no desire to dwell on Ning Qianqian's transgressions. How's that sound? Does my authority, as the affected party, hold any weight? If you deem my words ineffective, fine. If you wish to use a switch, I shall promptly procure one for you. How you choose to discipline Ning Qianqian is no longer my concern. If it comes to that, since you have so clearly delineated our relationship, the impending peril is likewise none of your concern. You need not linger. You can return to the Dragon Kingdom tonight. No, right now. Junzi, prepare the car. After Miss Luo disciplines Ning Qianqian, take them to the airport. After passionately delivering this proclamation, Qin Lang ceased all attempts at persuasion. He walked away, settling into the sofa that belonged to Ishihara Kanai, casting not even a glance back in their direction. The Crimson Mandala followed closely, standing at the edge of the sofa, murmuring softly, "Are you angry? How could I possibly be angry? Were your words not increasingly cutting as you stoked the flames just now?" Qin Lang scoffed, "You think I've been too comfortable at Kalan lately, and now that I've finally returned to the bar for a moment of respite, you deliberately provoke me to keep me busy, don't you? If you believe the situation hasn't de-escalated enough, then you should join me and give Ning Qianqian a good thrashing. Vent your frustrations, and if that doesn't suffice, then return to Longhua and chase after Ning Qianqian to give her another round." The more he spoke, the more agitated he became, his body trembling with rage. The Crimson Mandala stood by, beginning to feel a pang of trepidation. After all, she indeed bore some responsibility for inciting this ire, harboring such thoughts herself. Who could blame her for disliking Ning Qianqian? Little did she know that it would provoke such a fierce reaction from Qin Lang. Had she anticipated this, she would never have allowed herself to anger him over someone like Ning Qianqian. As Mu Yuyan, who had initially intended to approach, witnessed this scene, she withdrew her outstretched foot and grasped Lin Yuchu's hand, as if sharing the emptiness and fear within her heart. Shira Kana, possessing her own wisdom, remained still, silently awaiting the tempest to abate. Although she had served Qin Lang, she was acutely aware of her position. Here, no one could rival him. Even if she was reluctant to admit it, the harsh reality was undeniable. Neither Luo Qingyu nor Ning Qianqian were remotely comparable in status. Even the bodyguard, Junzi, if given a choice by Qin Lang between her and himself, she instinctively felt that it would be her who would be chosen to be eliminated. She unconsciously glanced towards Junzi, who was at the entrance of the bar, tugging at a newly arrived Sakura Sarai, whispering quietly. Before long, the samurai's eyes brightened as he produced a bottle of Longhua Mao Tai, having just reclaimed it, and stealthily made his way toward Qin Lang, elated. Young Master Qin is furious? Is it because he lacks the fine spirits of Longhua? Has his long-suppressed craving finally surfaced today? How splendid! The Dark Blade lacked the exquisite wines from Longhua, but he had just received his shipment. Was this not a fortuitous coincidence? Now, within the entire Dark Blade, who was unaware that their own leader had allied with young Master Qin, the second in command of the Dark Blade, but it was young Master Qin who held the true authority. Though they had previously looked down upon the Longhua people, the Sakura Samurai recognized the necessity of fostering good relations when the time called for it. Hearing from Junzi, a trusted confidant of young Master Qin. That Qin was in a rage for lacking his beloved Longwis spirits, and having just returned with a case of Mao Tai. Was this not a timely boon? If he could please young Master Qin, perhaps a mere word from him could elevate him to the higher echelons of the samurai ranks, leading to a prosperous future. Cradling a bottle of Mao Tai from the Dragon Kingdom, the Sakura warrior stealthily approached Qinlang. Upon meeting his scrutinizing gaze, he instinctively recoiled, but nevertheless took the Mao Tai from its packaging and presented it before Qinlang. In a flawless Sakura accent, he exclaimed, "Young Master Qin, the Mao Tai from the Dragon Kingdom is exceptionally delightful." Qinlang accepted the bottle, weighing it in his hands, his expression suddenly shifting. Without hesitation, he brought the bottle crashing down upon the Sakura warrior's head. He had been struggling to vent his pent-up fury, and the arrival of a delivery person was an opportunity not to be missed. If one does not slay the chicken, how can one deter the monkeys? He bellowed. The bottle shattered against the Sakura warrior's skull. Qinlang roared, "Drink! Drink! Get the hell away from me!" With a kick that sent the Sakura warrior sprawling. The already injured warrior was sent hurtling through the air, adopting a graceless posture reminiscent of a fallen goose. As he lost consciousness, he cast a sorrowful glance towards Junzi, lamenting his gullibility and trusting Junzi's words. It was too late now. His fate was sealed. Regret consumed him, his expression mournful, mouth agape in silent tears. Bakuyo, he thought. The onlookers shed tears, while others covered their faces. The poignant three-character phrase epitomized the Sakura warrior's stubbornness. Chapter 334. The calm before the storm. Ishihara Kana waved her hand, prompting shadowy samurai to step forward and drag away the severely injured companion, as though they were hauling a lifeless dog. The atmosphere grew tense, charged with an unmistakable scent of gunpowder. Luo Qingyu stood frozen, caught in indecision. She contemplated enforcing the sex training rules and severely punishing her junior sister. Yet after Qinlang's rebuke, she feared that striking her junior sister would irrevocably sever their bond. Especially under the current circumstances, Qinlang's simmering anger resembled a powder keg, poised to explode at any moment. Perhaps it's best to let it go. After all, we are all concerned for Qinlang's safety. He is unharmed now and has chosen to overlook the matter. Moreover, this incident has imparted a profound lesson to Ning Qianqian. She is unlikely to repeat such mistakes in the future. Mu Yuyan timely offered Luo Qingyu an escape. Luo Qingyu lowered her gaze, fixating on the pitiful Ning Qianqian, who remained kneeling with a proper demeanor. "I promise, senior sister, I will not engage in such misdeeds again. Rest assured, in the future, even if I were to drug someone, it would never be Qinlang. I do possess a conscience. After all, Qinlang has protected me this time, and I will surely guard him in my heart moving forward." To claim that she felt no gratitude would be disingenuous. In that moment of fury from her senior sister, she had despaired, believing that a beating was inevitable. Yet, who could have anticipated that her typically self-disciplined and resolute senior sister would abandon her intention to strike? Swayed by a few words from Qinlang, surprise lingered, but in this critical moment, her will to survive remained strong. Particularly, the elder sister held the long-necked, round-bellied bottle of red wine that Qinlang had handed over. When it was time to concede, she did so without hesitation. "Humph." Luo Qingyu snorted coldly and turned to leave. She felt it inappropriate to linger any longer, as the atmosphere had grown rather peculiar. However, as she walked away, she found the wine bottle in her grasp somewhat amusing. Passing by the staircase, she slightly bent down and placed the bottle on the steps, pretending as if nothing had occurred, and continued her ascent. "Help me out." Ning Qianqian extended her hand towards Mu Yuyan. Without a word, Mu Yuyan assisted her, while Lin Yuchu, standing by, scoffed mockingly. "Weren't you quite fierce? Didn't you claim to be quite capable? How is it that after kneeling for just a short while, you can barely stand? Such boasting. I thought Ning Qianqian was truly formidable, but after less than 10 minutes of kneeling, she is already struggling? She is even less resilient than I am. I could endure kneeling for 2 or 3 hours, even under external duress, without appearing so disheveled." Ning Qianqian rolled her eyes and retorted, "What do you know? I was frightened." She gazed at Mu Yuyan, holding her gaze for a few seconds. "I owe you a favor. Had you not given my elder sister a way out just now, with her stubbornness, she would have likely made me kneel for another half hour. Such kindness deserves no verbal thanks. Whenever you need assistance, whether it be a miraculous remedy or a lethal poison, I can procure it for you. Enough. Everyone disperse." Qinlang waved his hand in apparent annoyance, reclining on the sofa with his eyes narrowed. The girls exchanged glances, none daring to step forward at that moment, and they could only obediently retreat to their respective rooms. The following 2 days passed without incident. The Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps, under the coordination of the Blood Droplet and with the assistance of Shere Khanna, dealt with some disobedient leaders in the shadows. Kulan was gradually consolidating local organizations, with some joining and others being absorbed, all progressing in a positive direction. With nothing to occupy their time, Mu Yuyin and her friend began to engage in normal social interactions. While not entirely harmonious, they no longer resorted to bickering upon meeting. They even played poker at the headquarters of the Dark Blade. Lin Yuchu, is there something wrong with your mind? Knowing that Mu Yuyin has a single card, you should have played your card, yet you intentionally played a small 5, allowing her to win. In this hand, Mu Yuyin was the landlord. Watching as the plain sword passed with its wings flapping, and with a pair in hand, she found herself running low on cards. Just as it was their turn to take charge, Lin Yuchu reported a single. If you can't handle it, then don't play. What should I do then? I can't just refrain from playing. I'm not dismantling a bomb. I can't just choose to abandon the game. Lin Yuchu nonchalantly hummed, brazenly letting her friend win. If she didn't protect her own best friend, who else would? You possess remarkable skill. If you can continue to play this way, I find it hard to believe you can remain so audacious for much longer. Ning Qianqian fixed her gaze upon Lin Yuchu's face, adorned with drawings of turtles on both cheeks, and could not suppress her internal mockery. Is it merely a game of survival? Just wait. Her senior sister is currently away. But once she returns, with the camaraderie forged over many years, how could they possibly lose to Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu? It is nothing short of a farce. Do I even need your assurance of my capabilities? Lin Yuchu, unwilling to yield, pointed at Ning Qianqian's face, where 3 turtles had transformed each cheek into a veritable canvas of misfortune, far worse than her own plight. Who truly hold the upper hand here? Surely, they both know the reality of their situation. The fair-skinned Mu Yuyin played a single card. It was now the turn of the blood-red mandala. Unfortunately, there were few from the Dragon Kingdom present, and those who were, like Qin Lang's acquaintances, dared not join in such a high-stakes game. Thus, they resorted to provocation to bring forth the blood-red mandala. Ah, it's your turn, Mu Yuyin urged. The dazed blood-red mandala snapped back to attention, lifting her head. The 3 turtles on her left cheek and 3 on her right bore a striking resemblance to Ning Qianqian's predicament. Yet her situation was more pronounced. On top of her turtles perched a black rabbit, and on her smooth forehead, a row of black wild ducks could be counted. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Watching the quarrel between Lin Yuchu and Ning Qianqian, it was only at this moment that the somewhat oblivious blood-red mandala realized that the outcome of this game seemed to have little to do with skill. The key was, it appeared, dependent on one's teammates. Had you been duped? This is the 3rd time. Mu Yuyin emphasized with a hint of exasperation. Lin Yuchu, with a playful hum, provoked further. It seems you are not enjoying yourselves much. Lacking interest, shall we raise the stakes? For instance, the winner of a round could be rewarded with a visit to Qin Lang's bedroom tonight. Others were forbidden from intervening and must assist. What do you say? Mu Yin's face flushed as she playfully scolded. What nonsense is this? There is no such wager. Absurd. Lin Yuchu coughed lightly, clenched her fist, and winked at Mu Yuyin, then reached to touch her own cheek. Instinctively, Mu Yuyin touched her own face, suddenly recalling something, and fell silent, pretending to be oblivious. Let's play. Who is afraid? But we must wait until my senior sister returns. Ning Qianqian declared boldly, her neck arched defiantly. She had been anxiously seeking an opportunity to facilitate the deepening relationship between her senior sister and Qin Lang. And this chance was not one she was willing to let slip away. And you? Lin Yuchu raised an eyebrow at the blood-red mandala. The latter frowned, replying, Aren't there already 4 of you? I shall not participate. We can switch to a different game, Lin Yuchu coaxed. Yet, the blood-red mandala continued to shake her head, resolute in her refusal. With opponents paired off, she had no one to rely on and certainly would not engage in this game rife with intrigue. It is evidently a meticulously orchestrated trap. However, upon deeper reflection, blood-colored mandala suddenly realizes her somewhat passive predicament. Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu are inseparable, while Ning Qianqian clings to Luo Qingyu like a stubborn adhesive. There she stands, solitary and isolated. It seems that since her arrival at Kulan, she has had little opportunity for private moments with Qin Lang. Most of the time, Qin Lang remains ensconced in Mu Yuyin's room. Blood-colored mandala gasps in horror, contemplating the dire implications of this internal rivalry. It appears that she is on the brink of being ensnared. This cannot continue. She must seek assistance, or else, if the current situation persists, Not only will her position as the top contender be jeopardized, but she will also succumb to the vicious cycle of intense competition. Just as blood-color Mandala's mind is engulfed in a tempest of inspiration, Luo Qingyu, clad in a flowing white gown, enters the bar and approaches the card table. She casts a casual glance at Ning Qianqian and commands, "Come with me." "Wait a moment, I still have a good hand and 2 bombs left to play." Ning Qianqian politely declines, partly out of fear of repercussions later. "There's an urgent matter," Luo Qingyu insists, her gaze briefly flickering towards blood-color Mandala, leaving no room for argument. Ning Qianqian's expression turns serious as she places her cards face down on the table and rises to follow her senior sister. It seems something significant has indeed occurred. Otherwise, Luo Qingyu would not be so anxious. However, just as the two prepare to leave the bar, a languid voice calls from above. Is there something that cannot be discussed openly? Having been frequently absent from the bar these past few days, this return to seize Ning Qianqian's departure raises questions. Have you encountered something that even I am not privy to? Qin Lang leans against the railing, looking down at the strikingly beautiful duo of sisters, a faint smile gracing his lips. Does he still wish to shroud the truth in secrecy? Such naivety. The bar is teeming with electronic eyes and vigilant gazes, monitoring every movement. Not even the slightest disturbance, not even the flight of a mosquito, can escape his notice. If you believe this matter does not concern me, then you may proceed as you wish. However, if it is urgent, you may come up for a brief discussion. Qin Lang then turns and strolls leisurely toward his office. In no time, Luo Qingyu enters the office alone, leaving even her junior sister Ning Qianqian outside the door. She glances at Junzi, who is engrossed in reviewing surveillance footage, and, recognizing him as Qin Lang's trusted confidant, she speaks up. "Over the past few days, I have been searching for the whereabouts of our second junior sister in Kolan and discovered that several past strongholds of the Hidden Kill have relocated, seemingly evading something. Fortunately, today I made a breakthrough and found a member of the Hidden Kill. However, this individual is also unaware of the second junior sister's location and has gone missing without regard for the God of Death's bounty. Something must have transpired. I suspect it is highly probable that the second junior sister encountered a formidable foe and ventured forth alone to confront them. Reminiscent of the encirclement from a few years ago, in the realm of Kulan, the shadowy figure of Insha has made numerous enemies. Various powerful factions support organizations that thrive on a vast network of illicit gains in Kulan, all of which have been dismantled by Insha. Severing one's financial lifeline is akin to slaying one's parents. Although Insha is formidable, bolstered by her esteemed second sister, the infamous god of killing, she remains but a solitary figure. Should she encounter the combined might of foreign high-level experts, her survival would be precarious at best. Are you suggesting we take Qianqian to rescue her? Qin Lang mused, his fingers gently tapping the table. Very well, I understand. Yet, you currently have no knowledge of your second sister's whereabouts. Kulan, though not vast, is still a nation. Will you truly find her in such a short time? Yunxi, he called out. The youth set down his phone and responded. What is your command, young master? Have Nick investigate any unusual occurrences in Kulan recently, or any reports of non-Kulan individuals meeting untimely ends. Qin Lang instructed. Should the master of Insha indeed face formidable foes, conflict would be inevitable, and casualties would occur. While Kulan is chaotic, any incidents resulting in fatalities would likely attract the attention of local armed forces, though whether they would act is an entirely different matter. Junzi understood the gravity of the task and promptly dialed Nick, mindful of not disturbing his master, covering his mouth with his hand as he moved to a corner to relay instructions calmly. Lo Qingyu looked at Qin Lang with confusion. Are you assisting me? Your second sister is not acquainted with you and harbors grievances. Why offer help without cause? Because she is your second sister. Qin Lang replied, "Ditsis eifli," a smile gracing his lips as he encouraged. I have already dispatched someone to investigate your second sister situation. You've been busy. Go rest for a while. You will be notified the moment there is news. Is it merely because she is my second sister? Lo Qingyu pondered Qin Lang's words, vacantly leaving the office. An inexplicable surge of emotion, both unsettling and addictive, stirred within her. Upon exiting, she encountered a few women eavesdropping, her gaze fixating on Ning Qianqian, halting her steps. Ning Qianqian instinctively swallowed, stammering, "Senior sister, I was merely curious about what transpired. I had no intention of eavesdropping on your secrets." Lo Qingyu extended her hand, startling Ning Qianqian, who instinctively recoiled like a rabbit caught by the scruff of its neck. Yet, there was no reprimand or chastisement, Only a gentle caress as Luo Qingyu tenderly ruffled her junior sister's hair, her face softening with an unknowing warmth. It's all right, don't be afraid. I have erred before, taking matters too seriously, and perhaps I frightened you. Chapter 335. To live as a hero, to die as a gallant spirit. Ning Qianqian looked up, her bright eyes wide with wonder, as if gazing at a stranger. Despite her boisterous demeanor at the gaming table, in private, she felt a constant dread whenever she encountered her senior sister, fearing retribution for past misdeeds. It was as though the impending threat loomed over her, leaving her heart in a state of uncertainty. Suddenly, the eldest sister had transformed into a figure of unexpected gentleness, catching her off guard. There has been a situation concerning your second sister. Qin Lang is currently assisting in the investigation, and we shall be informed as soon as there is news. For now, let us retreat and take a moment to rest. Luo Qingyu sighed softly, her thoughts drifting to the mysteriously vanished second junior sister, which only deepened her melancholy. She gently patted Ning Qianqian on the shoulder before turning to leave. Watching the silhouette of her eldest sister fade away, Ning Qianqian's mind buzzed with questions. What could have transpired? Why had Qin Lang's words caused such a profound change in her eldest sister? Lin Yuchu, with a playful smile curving her lips, approached Ning Qianqian, giving her shoulder a friendly pat. Your eldest sister is in quite a predicament. She has fallen in love. In the office, Junzi waited until the whispers at the door subsided before turning to Qin Lang, voicing his concerns. Young master, do you think there might be a conspiracy at play with Yinsha? Why is it that trouble seems to arise only now, at such a critical juncture? With the leader of Yinsha suddenly missing? Typically, the assassination order is resolved within a week. I do not suspect Miss Luo of orchestrating a trap for you. Rather, we know so little about the leader of Yinsha. What if she is aware of certain circumstances and has laid a cunning snare? Junzi felt an unsettling disquiet. The leader of Yinsha had a history with the young master, and the issuance of that assassination order was perplexing. Regardless of her connection to Miss Luo, to Junzi, she remained an adversary. Anyone opposing his young master was deemed an enemy. Qin Lang pondered deeply, furrowing his brow as his fingers rhythmically tapped the surface of the table. Logically, such a scenario should not arise. The leader of Yinsha is not one to engage in petty schemes. Even if she intended to eliminate me, it would not resort to such underhanded tactics. Moreover, I seriously doubt that her issuance of this absurd assassination order stems from my association with the Darkblade. After all, she once compelled the entire Darkblade to learn the language of Longwu out of resentment. Yet the doubts lingered. According to the expected course of events, Yinsha should be consolidating its strength during Kulan's period of recuperation. Why had an unexpected, formidable foe emerged? Could it truly be a conspiracy? Or was it his deviation from the norm that had altered the narrative? It felt akin to a cycle of reincarnation. She was supposed to remain in Longwu, yet here she was on Kulan's soil, inadvertently contributing an enormous sum of nearly 370,000 in villainous destiny points. Young master, we find ourselves in a foreign land, and we must exercise caution. Certain matters require strict vigilance. Furthermore, it is not just Yinsha you have offended in Kulan. There is also that mysterious woman who disguised herself as Lady Blood a few days ago. She certainly will not let you off easily, Junzi felt compelled to emphasize. According to his perspective, at this juncture, Kulan had already been subdued. It was time to return home, as remaining here served no beneficial purpose. Instead, there were several lurking adversaries. He was only aware that the young master had assumed the guise of the blood-red mandala. Yet he remained oblivious to the true identity of the woman who had been set free. Those who aspire to greatness do not concern themselves with trifles. The misunderstanding with Yinsha could be resolved. Moreover, this was a predicament encountered by Qin Yu. And how could I, at such a critical moment, remain indifferent? Do you perceive me as a coward, merely clinging to life? Qin Lang's expression grew serious, his demeanor resolute. Let it be known that the majority of these notions were mere conjectures of the military personnel. Even if danger loomed, what of it? Surely, he could not disregard Luo Qingyu, Ning Qianqian, and his second senior sister, Su Chan. A cycle could bestow upon him nearly 370,000 points of destiny as a villain. Among these three sister disciples, aside from Ning Qianqian, each was significantly superior to the cycle itself. Should peril indeed arise from a twist in the narrative, would he not suffer greatly? Of course, Qin Lang was not primarily concerned about the villainous destiny points. His true worry lay with his feelings for Luo Qingyu. She was his fiancée, and if his fiancée were in distress, how could he, as her betrothed. Stand idly by? What joy is there in life, and what fear in death? Even if the road ahead were fraught with hardship, and if it were indeed, as the military personnel surmised, with sinister schemes afoot, so what? It would merely be a return to the cycle. A few hours later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the local armed forces in Kulan had received intelligence. In a disaster-stricken area north of Kulan, once ravaged by artillery fire, there were now few locals remaining. A multitude of corpses had been discovered, not just one or two, but in droves, the vast majority of which were not from Kulan. Such widespread death was undoubtedly linked to certain organizations. Presently, most major organizations have fallen under the control of the local armed forces of Kulan, leaving only Insha and some individuals from outside Kulan without any news. It could nearly be concluded that this incident was inextricably tied to Insha. I shall accompany you. The blood-red Mandala stood at the entrance of the bar, gazing at Qin Lang and his entourage, her brow furrowed in displeasure at being overlooked. Even the military personnel were taken along, while she, once the foremost expert, was disregarded. Well, the safety of the bar if you leave. This is Kulan, not Long Country. Recently, the local armed forces have been oppressing the large organizations, and some members have escaped. If one were to encounter an unhinged individual, an attack could ensue. How can I feel at ease without your presence? Qin Lang, unfatsit, gently explained and reassured her. The blood-red mandala pointed towards Ning Qian, suggesting, could she not remain behind? Last time we sparred, had you not intervened, I would have fallen victim to her cunning schemes. In a bid to stay by Qin Lang's side, the blood-red mandala was willing to humble herself. Ning Qian, unwilling to concede, defiantly retorted, what are you talking about? That is my second senior sister. I want to go. You should go instead. Does that even make sense? Besides, my strength is limited. I can only match you for a couple of moves using poison. Without it, you would have already defeated me. Qin Lang refrained from stoking the fire, but leaned close to the crimson mandala, whispering a few words. Instantly, two rosy hues blossomed upon her cheeks. It was uncertain whether Qin Lang had uttered some scandalous sweet nothings or if it was the surge of indignation within her that caused this reaction. She gritted her teeth, her face a mask of frustration, declaring, fine, I understand now. Behind the crimson mandala, Mu Yiyin stood motionless, her expression laced with concern. Even Lin Yuchu, who was typically chatty and full of banter, dared not utter a word. It was evident that the situation was perilous. Even the crimson mandala appeared unusually grave. Perhaps we should let Miss Shui accompany us. With the Dark Blade and Old Huang here to protect us, we should be safe, Mu Yuyin suggested. Aware of the crimson mandala's formidable power, she reasoned that her presence alongside Qin Lang would significantly improve their odds. Enough of your distractions, Qin Lang instructed the two women. Stay here, eat and drink as you please. I will return shortly. He embraced both of them warmly before turning to board the off-road vehicle. His concern did not stem from a lack of faith in the Dark Blade organization or Old Huang's capabilities, but rather from the unsettling possibility of the reincarnation making a move. The circumstances had changed drastically, unlike before, when reincarnation maintained a semblance of composure. Now, the situation had deviated from the original narrative. Should reincarnation dare to lay a hand on Mu Yuyin and the others, Qin Lang would not let it go unpunished. He had already warned the Crimson Mandala that if things went awry, she should act decisively. When it was time to kill, she must do so without hesitation. With a low hum, the off-road vehicle roared to life as Junzi pressed the accelerator, speeding off. The convoy of vehicles bounced along the rough terrain at a remarkable pace. Fortunately, Kalan lacked the celestial surveillance system, which meant they were free from the threat of being photographed. Otherwise, they would have undoubtedly incurred significant penalties. Navigating through a thicket of thorns, they gradually approached a small village nestled against a hillside. The area was littered with ruins, bearing the scars of past bombardments, a sight of utter devastation. This will do. Let us find a spot to conceal the vehicles and proceed on foot, Junzi instructed, bringing the vehicle to a stop in a low-lying area. He signaled with his communication device, ensuring that the following convoy of off-road vehicles found suitable hiding places. A group of approximately 30 individuals converged around Junzi. According to the original plan, a senior ninja would lead 1 or 2 snipers to their designated locations for concealment. Unless absolutely necessary, they were not to reveal themselves. Should the enemy discover the snipers' positions, the senior ninja would be responsible for their relocation. Those who delayed the operation would face severe consequences. Junzi snorted coldly, issuing commands to the snipers and senior ninjas before him. The urgency of the situation demanded seriousness. as it pertained to the safety of their young master. Among the dozens of his own people brought along, those with exceptional marksmanship were all summoned to serve as snipers. Had it not been for Kulan's lack of missile system and the sluggish speed of his tanks, he would have opted for a comprehensive barrage of firepower. Regardless of whether they were foreign mercenaries or skilled adversaries, a sweeping assault would suffice. Anyone within this region would meet their demise. As for the fate of the second sister, he cared not at all. Each member of the Honoran faction was assigned 1 or 2 snipers, maneuvering through the mountains towards the small village. Firstly, they needed to secure the high ground. Secondly, they required familiarity with the terrain, as this place was entirely unfamiliar to them, leaving them unaware of the enemy's whereabouts. If the snipers were not accompanied by a vigilant and stealthy upper ninja, encountering the enemy could easily result in a perilous situation. It is crucial to understand that these individuals were foreign operatives sent to confront the Lord of Shadowkill. Common foot soldiers were utterly unqualified to participate in this battle. A gathering of snipers entered the mountains in an orderly fashion, advancing towards the village. Before long, Qin Lang raised an eyebrow and remarked nonchalantly, "We should also proceed. We remain oblivious to the situation on the Lord of Shadowkill's side." He took the lead, following a narrow trail into the mountains. Having traversed less than 1,000 meters, he turned back to find Luo Qingyu, Ning Qianqian, Junzi, and Shiera Hikari closely trailing him. "What are you all following me for? Do you think this location is too concealed, too insignificant? Waiting for those foreigners to discover me and eliminate me, are you?" Qin Lang scoffed, expressing his dissatisfaction. Even before entering the mountains, he had sensed a warning of danger, likely indicating that someone had set their sights on him. Initially, he intended to draw out the lurking figure to gauge the nature of the threat daring to target him. However, now, with a group of people trailing behind, the unseen pursuer dared not reveal themselves. "Everyone disperse. Keep an eye on the snipers. Provide assistance where possible. Once battle commences, having our snipers concealed around us acts as an additional layer of security." Qin Lang gestured dismissively and quickened his pace, swiftly extricating himself from the group. As he approached the small village, he managed to distance himself from the entourage significantly. Just as he prepared to rest against the roots of a tree, a surge of heightened danger awareness erupted within him, and a flash of insight struck his mind. Qin Lang swiftly rolled away from his previous position. Thud! 3 nearly transparent silver needles pierced the ground where he had just been resting. Had he not evaded in time, those 3 needles would have struck true at his vital points. Whoosh! Just as the silver needles missed, a shadowy figure lunged from the darkness. A sharp dagger aimed straight for his neck. Resorting to stealth and subterfuge, yet unwilling to face me openly, Qin Lang scoffed, his gaze fixed on the figure, shrouded in a dark cloak, already deducing the identity of his assailant. He moved with neither haste nor delay, confronting the sharp short blade. Once his feet were firmly planted, he took a half step back as the blade approached, simultaneously raising his hand to bypass the weapon and strike at the wrist of the shadowy figure wielding it. With a resounding clap, his strike was perfectly measured, sending tremors through the figure's arm and inducing a sharp pain that instinctively loosened their grip. Without uttering a word, the shadow swiftly lowered their left hand, seized the short blade, and lunged it towards Qin Lang's heart. Whether aimed at the neck or the heart, the shadow's intent was unmistakably lethal. What audacity! Qin Lang let out a cold snort, ceasing his evasive maneuvers. Instead, he unleashed a powerful punch directed at the shadow's abdomen, employing nearly 80% of his strength. With a crack, the shadow's form momentarily halted in midair, tilting in the opposite direction. The immense force fractured their ribs, displacing their body and rendering them incapable of launching a fatal assault on Qin Lang. Nevertheless, in such a precarious state, the shadow astonishingly managed to adjust their posture, transforming the short blade into a leg whip. With a deft twist to their body, they executed a scorpion tail strike aimed straight at Qin Lang's temple. "How dare you!" Qin Lang's gaze momentarily froze, his expression icy. He raised his arm defensively, horizontally shielding his head as the leg whip collided with a crisp sound of bone meeting bone. Even with his formidable physique, the impact jolted him, leaving him momentarily unsettled. Fortunately, the shadow's physical condition was far inferior to his own. At that moment, their leg bones were likely fractured, their movements distorted. Seizing the brief window of vulnerability, Qin Lang grasped the shadow's ankle, his shoulder blades quaking as his muscles surged with power. With a sudden explosion of strength, he hurled the shadow downwards with tremendous force. Bang! The elegant form collided resoundingly with the ground, sending debris flying and leaves swirling into the air. The shadow's body rebounded, arching gracefully in midair, blood seeping from beneath the mask, accompanied by a muffled groan of agony. Strike! Aren't you so formidable? Keep attacking. Qin Lang denied the shadow any respite, even as he speculated about their identity, showing no hint of hesitation. He swung the wheel of reincarnation downwards with ferocity. This woman deserved a beating. After expending so much energy on her, without complaint, she now harbored resentment towards him. Is there no law in this land? Chapter 336. The second encounter with Chun Fanwush. Just as Qin Lang's grip on the ankle relaxed slightly, the shadow seized the opportunity, twisting and writhing to break free from his hold, swiftly fleeing to the side. Once they had distanced themselves from Qin Lang by several meters, they leaned against a large tree, one hand pressed against their chest, gently massaging the area. The impact from the fall had been severe, and their ribs were likely fractured, leaving them in considerable discomfort. No matter how clever the technique to realign the bones, the fractured joints could not be mended. Cough, cough. Their chest heaved. The black mask now dampened, crimson blood trickling steadily down its edge. Are you from the Dragon Kingdom? Qin Lang feigned ignorance while gazing at the disarrayed black locks of hair belonging to reincarnation. Who else could have initiated an attack on the hidden kill? I offer you a chance to divulge what you know. Otherwise, your existence shall be forfeit. His encounters with reincarnation had always been minimal. During their first meeting, Chun Fan was still by reincarnation's side, and the principal conflict lay between him and Chun Fan, rendering reincarnation merely a spectator. Even when reincarnation was decisively dealt with by the blood-colored mandala, it occurred in his absence. In their final encounter, which required considerable effort, Qin Lang, to avoid suspicion, refrained from tearing off reincarnation's human skin mask, perhaps believing that this humiliation was known solely to her. Qin Lang delighted in his charade, relishing the playful banter. How delightful it would be! Oomph! Reincarnation scoffed, resting against a grand tree, her expression icy, yet her heart was filled with astonishment. The presence of Qin Lang here was already surprising, and now he spoke of the matter concerning the second senior sister. Could it be that he was summoned by the first senior sister to aid the second senior sister in her plight? Before she could fully comprehend, Qin Lang, unscathed, charged towards her, aware of her disadvantage. Reincarnation swiftly retreated, seeking opportunities to conceal herself amidst the dense trees. As an assassin, her forte lay in stealth, not in direct confrontation. Even combining their strengths, she and another would hardly stand a chance against Qin Lang, who would soon overwhelm them completely. To emerge victorious, she could only resort to a strategy of evasion. In a matter of moments, Qin Lang lost her trail. Standing amidst the mountains, the silvery moonlight filtered through the leaves, casting an array of irregularly shaped, luminescent circles upon the ground. Scanning his surroundings, Qin Lang frowned and sneered. What kind of hero hides in the shadows? If you possess the courage, step forth and face me. Intentionally shifting his position to expose his vulnerabilities, he presented his back to the perceived danger, embodying a rather provocative baiting tactic. How could he not be aware of reincarnation's intentions? If she wished to create a ruckus, he would indulge her, curious to see what tempest she could conjure with her frail constitution of barely 400. Faintly, the ominous warning of danger drew nearer from behind. Qin Lang's expression grew grave as he silently enveloped vital points with his armed color hockey. This marked the first time he earnestly employed armed color hockey in such a manner. Previously, it had been for pinpoint usage. Just as the ominous warning reached its zenith, Qin Lang swiftly turned and struck out with his palm. Thud! Reincarnation expelled another copious mouthful of blood, struck squarely in the chest, causing a slight concavity in her ribcage. Thud! She weakly slumped before Qin Lang, momentarily recovering, yet already plotting her escape. Yet, Qin Lang was unwilling to grant her another chance to flee, even though he could ensure that he would not be harmed by the reincarnation's hands. One could never be certain of what this individual might do in a desperate attempt to harm others at his own expense. Furthermore, allowing the reincarnation to attack, relying solely on his instinct for danger, would render him incapable of controlling his strength effectively. The principle here is to deliver a fatal blow. Behold, that strike nearly shattered the reincarnation's second avatar. Still hoping to escape? How audacious! Qin Lang stepped forward, pinning the reincarnation's head down, while simultaneously seizing her arm as she aimed it toward his neck, twisting it back painfully, contorting her entire posture. But that was not the end. Qin Lang vaulted over the reincarnation's head, flipping her onto her back, and seated himself on her torso, deftly wrenching both of her arms behind her. Dislocated? Fractured? Such trifling injuries and discomfort would surely be inconsequential in the eyes of one who once reigned atop the assassin rankings. As long as he could keep her from moving recklessly, he would prevail. Now, tell me, which organization do you belong to, and where are your companions? Qin Lang pressed the reincarnation's head into the mixture of fallen leaves and soil, sitting on her back and slightly shifting downwards, as though reclining on a plush sofa. Remarkably, it was indeed rather yielding. Let me go, get off me. The reincarnation's voice, strained and desperate, had shifted in tone. Qin Lang chuckled coldly, choosing not to expose her. He had encountered the reincarnation thrice, and each time her voice had been distinct. The first time, she was ethereal as an immortal. The second, she was hysterical like a madwoman. And now, she spoke with a calmness laced with fury. He acted oblivious and refrained from removing her mask. With a gentle twist backward, he further exacerbated her already strained arm, producing a faint cracking sound from her bones. Release me. You must release me. The reincarnation gritted her teeth against the pain, her voice escalating several decibels. If I release you, would that not be a significant loss of face for me? Qin Lang disregarded her pleas, planning to continue his torment. However, upon sensing the rapid approach of footsteps nearby, his brow furrowed, and his demeanor became grave. If you do not speak, your life is of no use to me. You might as well perish. A citizen of the Dragon Kingdom, ensnared by an overseas organization, is indeed a disgrace to our nation. Just as he was about to deliver a lethal blow, the reincarnation felt that her life was about to come to an end that day. Deep-seated enmity, now rendered powerless for retribution. Yet, in that very moment, several figures dashed swiftly from the distance. What is happening? Who are they? How could we encounter enemies so swiftly? Luo Qiyu and Ning Qianqian arrived in succession, both possessing formidable strength and swift pace. Qin Lang, still pinning the reincarnation's head, spoke coldly. A villain lurks in the shadows. Likely having detected our presence long ago, I was just separated from you when this fiend set his sights on me. His methods are exceptionally brutal. 3 bone-penetrating silver needles. If I had not reacted quickly, I would have been struck in a vital area by now. He is a desperate criminal, willing to resort to extreme measures to eliminate me. Are you certain this is a fugitive intent on harming you? Ning Qianqian observed Qin Lang seated behind the enemy, glancing at the enemy's misaligned arms. No matter how one looked at it, it appeared as though Qin Lang was forcefully grinding the adversary into the ground. The opponent's head was buried in the dirt. His entire body, save for his back, was filthy, while Qin Lang remained untouched by any grime. Who was truly seeking to kill him? If it were anyone else, or even a skilled sniper dispatched by a high-ranking shinobi targeted by this fiend, they would already be dead. Such a vile adversary ought to be eliminated. He raised his hand, intent on delivering a fatal blow to the back of the head of his foe. Yet at that moment, Luo Qingyu, furrowing her brow in confusion, called for him to halt. Wait, if this is an enemy, we might glean some valuable information. Even if she is reluctant to speak, Qianqian has ways to coax her into revealing what we need to know. Very well, you too, come closer. This one possesses remarkable agility. I must keep her under control to avoid unforeseen complications. He remained seated upon the back of the enemy, shifting his position slightly downwards. With curiosity piqued, Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian approached slowly. The foe's head was pressed firmly into the earth, devoid of any movement, her face turned downward. Even as Qin Lang released his grip, she showed no inclination to lift her head, seemingly wishing to dig a deep hole in the ground to bury herself. How does this figure and style of knight attire resemble that of our 4 senior sister so closely? Ning Qianqian murmured softly. Luo Qingyu stepped forward, removing the mask, and upon witnessing the despondent, love-stricken gaze of the enemy, she became flustered. She turned to Qin Lang, a mix of helplessness and bitterness on her face. Qin Lang, please. You must let her go. This is my 4th junior sister. Perhaps there has been some misunderstanding between you. Huh? No way, no way. Is this Miss Reincarnation? Isn't she supposed to be in the Dragon Kingdom? How could she possibly be here? Qin Lang was taken aback, hastily releasing his hold on Reincarnation's arms and leaping down from her back. Gazing at Reincarnation, who had removed her mask and was being supported by Luo Qingyu, he was struck with disbelief. Is it truly you? Reincarnation looked up, meeting Qin Lang's astonished visage, and gradually, her despondency morphed into fury and indignation. I will kill you, she screamed, her voice a cacophony of hysteria, teetering on madness, ignoring the pain radiating from her injured arms and the heavy wound she bore. She fiercely broke free from Luo Qingyu's grasp and charged toward Qin Lang. Her teeth clenched, her eyes reddening. She resembled a feral beast. The torment she had endured was beyond articulation. Because of Qin Lang, she had been repeatedly toyed with by the blood-colored mandrake. Because of Qin Lang, she had suffered inhuman torment at the stronghold of the Blood Wolf mercenary corps. Because of Qin Lang, she had lost all semblance of dignity before her senior sister and junior sister. Everything she had once cherished had been obliterated by Qin Lang. She sought vengeance, without regard for anything. Even if it requires sacrificing her own life, she must seek justice for herself, ensuring that Qin Lang pays the price. With a swift motion, Luo Qingyu raised her hand, targeting an acupoint, delivering a precise strike that rendered the maddened reincarnation unconscious. Filled with guilt, she gazed at Qin Lang and, with a tone of helplessness, explained, "Although I'm unaware of why my fourth junior sister is in Kalan, her temperament has always been rather aggressive. You have injured her most cherished junior, thus sealing your enmity. It is only natural that she would seek revenge when encountering you alone, driven by her deep affection for her junior. However, I never anticipated that she would suffer such humiliation at your hands, leaving her profoundly affected and trapped in a state of madness. I hope you can show some understanding, Qin Xiao. My junior sister is at fault, and once she awakens, I will ensure she apologizes to you and faces consequences. Otherwise, I shall never stand idly by." TSK. Ning Qianqian clicked her tongue from the side. Ah, women. If the former senior sister had encountered the fourth junior sister being so mistreated, she would have already crushed the enemy to dust. Yet now, the fourth junior sister is nearly on the brink, and to add insult to injury, she has been knocked unconscious by the senior sister. And this is not the end. Once the fourth junior sister regains consciousness, she will have to apologize and face repercussions. This is truly humiliating. Can the fourth junior sister endure such indignity? I certainly cannot. Qianqian, summoned Chen Fan. Luo Qingyu supported the unconscious reincarnation and steadied her beneath a large tree, urging Ning Qianqian. All right. Ning Qianqian produced a specially crafted aromatic bottle from her pocket and opened the cap, releasing a unique fragrance that wafted through the air. She took the time to explain to Qin Lang. This incense is uniquely crafted by our sect. It serves no other purpose than to disperse its scent over an extensive area. Given enough time, it could envelop several kilometers. By following the intensity of the aroma, anyone from our sect can locate it. The fourth junior sister and the little junior brother are as inseparable as conjoined twins. If the fourth junior sister is here, the little junior brother is likely not far away. Moreover, this incense is so subtle that ordinary people cannot detect it, unlike a flare gun, which raises immediate suspicion. Such sophistication? Qin Lang expressed his surprise. Ning Qianqian proudly raised her delicate chin. Of course. Just look at which sect we belong to. This is merely a minor technique. There are even more advanced methods. Before Ning Qianqian could bask in her pride, Qin Lang quietly retrieved a small phone from his pocket and offered it to her. Why not use this phone to call Chen Fan? Otherwise, relying solely on the wind to disperse the scent could take an indeterminate amount of time. What if Chen Fan is on the leeward side? Senior sister, Ning Qianqian received the phone, turning to Luo Qingyu with a look of grievance. Why do I feel that our sect is quite inadequate? Just call Chen Fan, Luo Qingyu replied, not overly concerned. The incense indeed served its purpose, in certain special areas. Mobile signals were non-existent, and generally, incense was employed in those locations. She did not anticipate that her little junior sister would be so audacious. It is not the sect that is at fault. It is you, little junior sister. Casting a glance at Ning Qianqian, Luo Qingyu hesitated to speak. Before long, Chen Fan, who had been contacted, hastily approached from another direction. Upon seeing the fourth senior sister unconscious beneath the great tree, he furrowed his brows, wondering what had transpired. Luo Qingyu replied coldly. She sought to avenge you and attempted to ambush Qin Lang, but after being defeated, she was struck down in a fit of rage, and I had to render her unconscious. Once again, it is you. Chen Fan turned, his gaze fixated on Qin Lang, not far away, resembling a ferocious wolf intent on tearing him apart. For a while now, he had sensed something amiss with the fourth senior sister, who had been deliberately distancing herself from him. He had considered various possibilities, thinking that perhaps she had undergone a sudden change in temperament or something had befallen her. Yet, he never imagined that she harbored no disdain for him, but rather was willing to sacrifice everything in her quest for vengeance. Fourth senior sister, why must you be so foolish? Chen Fan looked at the unconscious figure of the reincarnation, his eyes filled with compassion and care, deeply pained. Before his gaze shifted back to Qin Lang. Were it not for the presence of the eldest senior sister, he would have already charged in to fight to the death. You have insulted me repeatedly, and now you have gravely injured my fourth senior sister. Do you think me, Chun Fan, to be easily bullied? Chapter 337. Junzi. Just two tricks. Qin Lang opened his mouth, caught between the gazes of Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian, a loss for words. He had no explanations to offer, only a direct confrontation with Chun Fan's fury. Relying on the protection of others. Are you too lazy to even offer an explanation? Chun Fan scoffed, his peripheral vision glancing towards the eldest senior sister. This action drew the attention of Luo Qingyu, who felt somewhat displeased, as if he were showing her favoritism. Mr. Chun, I apologize. At that moment, Junzi, who had arrived later, stepped forward. His strength paled in comparison to Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian, and he was a bit slower, having just arrived. Observing the young master being confronted by Chun Fan without uttering a word, he understood that it was time for him to step in. What kind of status did the young master hold? Engaging in a verbal duel with Chun Fan would only tarnish the young master's reputation. Lowering his head towards Chun Fan, he wore an expression of regret. Mr. Chun and the young master have no grievances between them. It is only that Mr. Chun was overly cautious last time and acted against me, resulting in my broken arms, which led to the young master holding a grudge. This matter has nothing to do with the young master. He has always been extremely protective and caring towards us, unlike other young masters from affluent families. If I were to be killed before their eyes, it would hardly offend a formidable figure like you, Mr. Chun. Yet, the young master is not that kind of person. Moreover, Haozi shares a fraternal bond with my young master. Despite the disparity in our statuses, they connect as kindred spirits, fostering a profound friendship. Mr. Chun, in your quest for vengeance, you have inadvertently caused Haozi's demise. My master, who values camaraderie above all, cannot possibly turn a blind eye to this. If there remains any resentment in your heart, do not direct it towards my young master. Take my life instead. Junzi stepped forward, lifting his chin defiantly. Closing his eyes, as if to accept his fate, Chun Fan gazed at Junzi, narrowing his eyes, a cold smirk forming within. What a silver-tongued bodyguard you are. According to your words, the fault lies entirely with me? Not a chance. Junzi shook his head. Since you seek death, then let me extinguish your wretched life. Chun Fan's voice thundered with fury. How could he endure such humiliation? Qin Lang remained silent, yet sent a bodyguard to confront him, treating him as if he were of a lesser class. Junzi wishes for death. Then let him perish. He advanced, transforming his palm into a claw, lunging for Junzi's neck. Junzi remained motionless, eyes shut, exhibiting no intention of retaliation. Just as Chun Fan was about to strike, Luo Qingyu positioned herself before him, her countenance grave as she reprimanded. Enough. What is your intent? Do you truly wish to take a life? Senior sister? Chun Fan halted, staring at the figure shielding Junzi, his expression laced with bitterness. I seek vengeance on Qin Lang, and you disapprove. Now, even my desire to retaliate against a mere bodyguard is forbidden by you? Is it possible that in your eyes, a junior brother who has accompanied you for over a decade pales in comparison to your fiancé, or even to a mere dog at his side? Observing the frown and cold demeanor of the senior sister, Chun Fan regarded her as a stranger. He had thought himself resolute in the face of her favoritism, believing he would remain steadfast in his convictions. Yet, when confronted with reality, disbelief washed over him. Moreover, the target of his ire was merely a bodyguard, not Qin Lang himself. Is a bodyguard not human? Do you not possess the ability to articulate your thoughts? You incessantly refer to him as a dog. This individual, whose arms were shattered by your blows, even offered apologies, yet you continue to press him. Is it permissible for you to inflict harm, yet intolerable for others to retaliate? Furthermore, when the fourth senior sister indiscriminately attacked Qin Lang, would you not respond if someone attempted to assassinate you? To speak frankly, the only reason the fourth senior sister is alive is due to Qin Lang's mercy. Had he unleashed his full strength, she would have long since met her demise. Ning Qianqian emerged with a disdainful snort, confronting the situation with her disapproval. She had always been at odds with Chun Fan, and their entanglements were destined to escalate. Had events unfolded as per the original narrative, they might have gradually transitioned into a love-hate relationship. However, with the unexpected emergence of Qin Lang and the ensuing series of events, the animosity between Ning Qianqian and Chun Fan intensified, veering towards enmity. Any chance of reconciliation had all but vanished. At this moment, Ning Qianqian looked at Chun Fan with palpable disdain. While Junzi repeatedly uttered apologies, she could only think of derogatory remarks. In terms of character, he had utterly lost, hadn't he? Sighing, Qin Lang, who had remained silent until now, could no longer bear it. Junzi's performance was astonishing. Typically, at such a juncture, a villain's subordinate would be arrogant and boastful, often invoking the esteemed lineage of the Qin family from Yanjing, followed by threats and intimidation. However, after Junzi's unresisting admission of defeat, rather than inciting disdain from Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian, it unexpectedly evoked a sense of sympathy, further deepening the chasm between them and Chen Fan in their hearts. Young master, Junzi has turned back, full of sorrow, unsure of how to proceed, Junzi lamented. Qin Lang waved his hand, signaling him to stop. Enough, come back. This matter has nothing to do with you. It's a pity that my brother Haozi met such a tragic end. If you cannot perform, then do not. Observing Junzi's genuine expression of helplessness, Qin Lang called him back, wary of the performance becoming awkward or contrived. If that were to happen, it would be a case of losing more than one could gain. Chen Fan, I have matters to attend to today. As for our grievances with reincarnation, I shall make my decision at a later date. When the time comes, I will not shy away from confrontation, even if it means a direct clash without firearms. Qin Lang was disinterested in engaging in a verbal battle with Chen Fan at this moment. It seemed futile. Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian were observing, and if anything were to transpire, they would likely intervene, though whether they would side with him was never in question. Yet, even with Luo Qingyu's support, it was improbable for her to eliminate Chen Fan. It would be far simpler to discreetly remove him without drawing attention. Chen Fan scoffed, casting a glare at Qin Lang before retreating beside his fourth senior sister, Reincarnation. He understood that reaching a decisive conclusion with Qin Lang today was impossible. Setting aside whether his strength could match up, even these two former senior sisters would not aid him. Indeed, they might become formidable adversaries. The only one who truly cared for him was the fourth senior sister, despite her cold demeanor. Chen Fan gazed at Reincarnation's exquisite face, her eyes closed, filled with an indescribable tenderness. Ning Qianqian knelt beside Reincarnation, applying medicine to her wounds. As she fumbled, she glanced towards Qin Lang with a hint of resentment, silently wishing he wouldn't strike her in the heart area next time. 3 ribs had been fractured, leaving her asymmetrical. Chapter 338. Qin Lang. Grateful to brother Chen Fan for the abundant fortune of villainous values with gritted teeth, Chen Fan nearly shattered his own pristine teeth, glaring furiously at Qin Lang, overwhelmed with indignation. That wretched fellow dared to lay such treacherous hands on his fourth senior sister. Truly, he is courting death. Were it not for the constant watch of his senior sister, he would have risked his very life to make Qin Lang pay dearly for his actions. The suffocating frustration within him surged and swelled to an unbearable degree, visibly manifesting in the violent rise and fall of his chest. Clearing his throat, he remarked, I'm not familiar with her. Perhaps my actions were a bit excessive. This pill, however, will aid in her recovery. Qin Lang clenched his fist against his lips and, with the other hand, retrieved a beauty pill from his pocket, known for its remarkable efficacy in healing injuries. Casting a knowing glance at Chen Fan's heaving chest, he mused that it was no wonder they were fellow disciples. Their emotions mirrored each other so closely, as if sculpted from the same mold. He recalled the previous night, when the excitement of reincarnation surpassed even Chen Fan's fervor. Was this truly the bond of fellow disciples? Could it be that there existed a secret breathing technique passed down within their sect that could evoke such profound agitation, causing such a dramatic rise and fall of the chest? He pondered whether Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian would react similarly to a fright, like startled shrimp. Ning Qianqian examined the exquisite beauty pill in her hand. Curiosity piqued, and promptly attempted to place it into Reincarnation's mouth. What are you doing? Chen Fan raised his hand, swatting the pill from Ning Qianqian's grasp to the ground. Did she dare to administer such a gift to the fourth senior sister? He secretly wished for her demise. You. Ning Qianqian opened her mouth to retort, but recalling Qin Lang's grievances with the fourth senior sister, and knowing that Qin Lang was cunning, she found herself at a loss for words. At that moment, the soldier of modest prowess stepped forward once more. He stood before Chen Fan, producing a dagger, and, with a swift motion, slashed open a visible wound on his arm, blood gushing forth to reveal stark white bone. What are you doing? Did I not tell you to set aside past grievances for now? Besides, you are not at fault, even if an apology were due. It should be from Chen Fan to you. Ning Qianqian scolded. Yet, the soldier silently picked up the soiled beauty pill from the ground and swallowed it whole. Gradually, a refreshing sensation coursed through his body, enveloping the self-inflicted wound on his arm. The blood that had been gushing forth began to slow its flow in an eerie manner. Astonishingly, within mere breaths, it ceased entirely. The deep wound, visible to the bone, began to heal at a miraculous rate. While it would not vanish instantaneously, it would likely be fully healed within half an hour. With a cold expression, he fixed his gaze upon Chun Fan and expressed his dissatisfaction, stating, "My young master has always valued loyalty. Yes, Miss Reincarnation has grievances with my master. However, the young master has come this time to rescue the Lord of Hidden Kill. And I presume both of you share a significant relationship with him. The young master is well aware of the strength of reincarnation, which is why he offered such a precious healing pill to aid Miss Reincarnation in recovering from her injuries and enhancing her combat prowess. Yet, you dare to turn against him? How could my young master be such a shameless scoundrel? Is it truly staunched? Has the wound healed so significantly?" Ning Qianqian paid no heed to Junzi's words, her gaze fixated foolishly on the site of the injury. The speed at which this beauty pill heals is more than double that of her specially formulated wound medicine. This speed is simply miraculous. Look at you, unable to appreciate kindness. How can my Qin Lang possibly be the sort of petty individual you imagine? He selflessly provided the sacred healing medicine, and now you have squandered it. Are you satisfied now? Ning Qianqian found her excuse, pointing an accusatory finger at Chun Fan, her disdain evident as she berated him with increasing fervor. Meanwhile, Luo Qingyu, who had been silently observing, let out a heavy sigh, her disappointment in her junior disciple growing ever deeper. Blinded by hatred, he had squandered such a valuable healing elixir. Ding! The luck value of the Child of Destiny, Chun Fan, has decreased by 500 points. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 10,000 villain points. Ding! The luck value of the Child of Destiny, Chun Fan, has decreased by 500 points. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 10,000 villain points. Ding! The luck value of the Child of Destiny, Chun Fan, has decreased by 1,000 points. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 20,000 villain points. Listening to the system notifications, Qin Lang felt a wave of emotion. Tricking Chun Fan is truly addictive. The rewards offered by the system are exceedingly generous, especially in the presence of these two extraordinary women. This script involving Chun Fan is indeed a tremendous boon, yielding the most substantial rewards Qin Lang has encountered thus far. It's akin to receiving nearly 370,000 villain points from reincarnation. If only he could somehow have reincarnation provide villain points right in front of Chun Fan. Upon reflection, Qin Lang dismissed this notion from his mind. It is not appealing, not in the slightest. Having concealed himself for over 20 years, he had only encountered a handful of girls. If he were to suddenly meet a man, wouldn't that man feel so inadequate that he might dig a hole in the ground to bury his head in shame? Qin Lang, do you have any more beauty pills? Please give me another one. This is far more effective than my wound medicine. How about 100 or 2 as reserves? Ning Qianqian beamed at Qin Lang, eagerly requesting more beauty pills. Startled back to reality, Qin Lang shot her an incredulous glare. These beauty pills are exceedingly precious, and even I possess but a scant few. If I were to give you 100 or 2, would that not amount to wasting 1/10 of my supply? He rummaged through his belongings and produced another beauty pill. Do you truly possess 100 or 2? Just give me one. Must you be so stingy? Ning Qianqian couldn't help but voice her complaints, half jokingly. Little did she know that Qin Lang genuinely had such a quantity. If 100 or 2 is merely 1/10, does that not imply he harbors over 1,000? Qin Lang threw the beauty pill he held into the air. Yet it was not Ning Qianqian who received it, but Junzi. He spoke coldly. In such circumstances, no one can predict when an enemy might appear. Your arm's wound has yet to fully heal. Take another pill to hasten your recovery. If someone is unwilling to accept it, I shall not force them. Very well. Junzi obediently swallowed the beauty pill. Observing this, Chun Fan, standing nearby, felt an overwhelming urge to intervene. Yet recalling his earlier rejection, he could only grit his teeth and glare at Qin Lang, his eyes ablaze with fury. Ding! The Child of Fortune, Chun Fan, was in an extremely unstable emotional state, unable to contain himself any longer. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 6,666 villain points. Chapter 339, Ning Qianqian. I can only feel sorry for my 4th senior sister. Ding! The Child of Fortune, Chun Fan, experienced a drop of 500 fortune points. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 10,000 villain points. The system's notification echoed once more. Qin Lang regarded Chun Fan's seething expression, striving to suppress the urge to laugh. I must not laugh. In this moment, no matter how joyous I feel, I cannot let it show. I must hold it in. He stepped forward to stand before Luo Qingyu, rummaging through his pockets until he produced a small milky white jade vial, placing it into her hands with earnest advice. Qingyu, we may encounter formidable foes at any moment. Although your strength is considerable, one must not be careless. These adversaries are specifically targeting the master of hidden assassination. Ordinary weaklings will not have the opportunity to participate in this ambush. Please be cautious. This vial contains approximately several dozen beauty pills. Keep it on your person. Should you face a strong enemy and, heaven forbid, sustain an injury, do not hesitate to use one. There is no need to conserve them. It is unnecessary. I can procure as many as I desire. I possess the formula. The products of the system are guaranteed to be exquisite. Even though some of the medicinal ingredients for the beauty pills are exceedingly rare, they hold little significance to Qin Lang and the financial prowess of Mu Rin International. If it were not for the extraordinary potency of these beauty pills, there would be no need to dilute them thousands of times. It would not be an issue to release batch after batch of limited editions on the market. Thank you, I understand, Luo Qingyu replied, accepting the jade vial and glancing at the younger disciple and the fourth senior sister, feeling a mix of amusement and exasperation. Qin Lang was clearly trying to provoke her younger disciple, yet his words contained no insults or harshness. Even she could find no fault in them. Qin Lang, are you being a bit excessive? Ning Qianqian puffed her cheeks in jealousy, playfully smacking the palm, assisting the rebirth of her bones in frustration. You broke 3 of my fourth senior sister's ribs, leaving her asymmetrical. Yes, the beauty pill you kindly offered was indeed knocked to the ground by someone ungrateful. But I have not wronged you. If you choose not to give it to my fourth senior sister, I assentee it a bit biased, not to offer it to me. She gazed at Qin Lang with a forlorn expression, puffing out her cheeks in a huff. Here you go, just this little bit. Use it sparingly. Qin Lang took out several beauty pills from his pocket and tossed them toward Ning Qianqian, who effortlessly caught them. She then retrieved a jade vial from her own garment and poured the golden wound medicine over the bleeding injury of the fourth sister, subsequently inserting the beauty pills into the wound. You, Chun Fan exclaimed, his eyes wide with indignation. What do you mean you? Ning Qianqian retorted. If you find me displeasing, why not challenge me to a fight instead of whining? These pills were given to me by Qin Lang, not you. Why are you glaring at me? Besides, didn't you refuse the previous beauty pill yourself? Ning Qianqian rolled her eyes in irritation and tucked the vial of beauty pills back into her robe. Giving one to the fourth sister? Perhaps not. Qin Lang is watching, and if he is unwilling to share, I would be foolish to act on my own and risk incurring his wrath. What if he decides to withhold his favors in the future? The fourth sister will just have to endure. After all, she brought this upon herself and is not exactly strong. Is this truly how you attend to wounds? Chun Fan pointed at the mound of golden medicine, piled up like a pyramid over the injury. This is utter nonsense. Please, this is golden wound medicine, not some trivial substance. The more, the better. Do you not understand? Ning Qianqian snapped back, taken aback by her junior's lack of awareness. Can't you assess the situation? Pouring a bit more of the medicine is not harmful, especially since the fourth sister has already lost consciousness and feels no pain. Moreover, I don't have an abundance of vials. With the miraculous effects of the beauty pills, I must empty the golden wound medicine to make room. Fine, fine, fine. Chun Fan's anger simmered beneath the surface, akin to a volcano poised to erupt, as he cast a cold smile at Ning Qianqian before turning to Qin Lang and repeating the word fine several times. Luo Qingyu furrowed her brow, about to speak when Qin Lang intervened. I have a history with him. His injuries to his legs and shoulder were inflicted by my gun. His resentment is understandable. And furthermore, he has not uttered any profanities. Do not let anger cloud your judgment. We must focus on the matter at hand. Luo Qingyu took a deep breath, yet could not restrain herself. Chun Fan, remember your current position and recognize where we are. Such behavior is intolerable. If you are unwilling to rescue Chon'er, you may leave with the reincarnation now. I will not hold any of your transgressions against you. But if you dare to act with malice at this critical moment, do not blame me for setting aside our ties as your senior sister. Her words were sharp and piercing. Chun Fan's sentiments were evidently charged with anger and a desire for retribution. With the second junior sister missing and formidable enemies surrounding them, there was no room for Chun Fan's obstinacy. Senior sister, you truly are biased. Chun Fan gritted his teeth, the words tearing at his heart. Once, he had merely been stubborn, harboring a glimmer of hope. Now, however, he was utterly disheartened. You may attempt it, Lo Qingyu replied, icily. If you're eager for revenge, then I shall cease my treatment. Ning Qianqian halted her healing actions, warily watching Chen Fan. If the fourth senior sister were to regain her ability to act, it would undoubtedly lead to a myriad of complications. To avoid internal strife, I must reluctantly concede to her predicament. Rest assured, I, Chen Fan, am not foolish enough to take Qin Lang's life in the presence of two formidable experts. He spoke in a low voice, turning his gaze away from the master sister and the seventh sister. Qin Lang, do you think I should administer some softening powder to the fourth